Incompetent just means that you don't understand exactly what is going on at this time, and that you don't believe that you're going to be held liable or that you're bound to the rules of court at this time because you're not competent to provide a proper answer at this time. And they can't make an incompetent person answer when you admitted that you're incompetent. Being incompetent is not a bad thing. Being incompetent is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That's why, like, women and children for thousands of years were never held liable for their acts. The husband had to. The husband meant a bond servant. So being a husband meant that you were putting up the bond for all the crazy shit, like if you ever watched I Love Lucy, Ricky Ricardo was a bond servant. So every kind of escapade, crazy bullshit nonsense Lucy was getting into, he was being held liable. I don't know if you ever watched I Love Lucy over there in England. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, it's a comedy show. And it has this screwball crazy redhead, and Ricky Ricardo was the bongo player, poor husband, that every time Lucy wanted to do something, she wanted to start her own business, she wanted to get a freaking job, she wanted to learn how to drive a car, she wanted to dabble in real estate, whatever the hell she was getting into, whatever crazy scheme that she had to get money and get rich quick or be an independent, strong woman or free from a Cuban bongo player husband. Every time, every show that only lasted 30 minutes, every time she fucked up somehow, poor Ricky was held liable for paying for all her debts and all her problems that she got into. And at the end of almost every episode, Ricky would take Lucy, put her over his fucking lap, and he'd spank the shit out of her. And she'd be kicking and squealing at the end of the show, and everybody get a good laugh. I mean, you can't do that anymore. In this country, you can't say, hey, lady, you screwed up my life. You made me, you just wrecked, you made me pay $500 in damages. Get over here so I, put you on my knee and pop your ass. So you learn your lesson so you don't do it again. Because this is the way it's been for thousands of years. They've been incompetent. Children and women were deemed incompetent. So it was so funny back in the 70s when I went to school. Like I said, I got kicked out of a sociology class in less than 3 days because with the very first thing that poor sociology, professor guy opened up the class with, he was like 60, 70 years old, pure communist guy. He says men and women are equal. And I just started going, pfft. And then and all the girls booed and hissed me. I said, what? Are you kidding? Do you believe in this guy's nonsense? And they were like, well, yes, we're equal. I said, do you realize you could get away with murder and you could just say it was that time of the month? Do you realize you could do whatever you could embezzle funds and just say, well, I wanted a new hat? Do you realize you could get away with just about any wrong and walk away from it scot-free, blaming it on your dad, blaming it on your husband? I said, you have no idea that you're not being held liable for anything you do wrong because you're incompetent, that you don't know law. The only thing you women could be held liable for is that you're supposed to cook dinner, iron clothes, and raise babies because technically the society believes that that's all that you're competent in. So, but if you want to be held liable for every other act, like if you want to be held liable for all the acts that a man does, oh, well, God bless you. You're crazy. Because all that's going to happen is the courts are going to get jurisdiction and control authority over you women, and they're going to make your life holy hell, just like they make men's lives holy hell. Because husband means bond servant. You want to be a bond servant? You want to put up whatever you got for doing wrong or acts of wrongs for others? Oh, you're out of your mind. So funny, man. By the third day, almost all the kids in the class had their desk. I sat in the last seat, last row, so I could look out the window. They all turned their desk and they were taking notes from me. And that poor little I remember his last name was Scalia. I'm sure he's dead by now. I remember on the first day he tried to block the door so I couldn't leave the classroom. He wanted to talk to me. The second day he actually touched me and I was able to shimmy around him and leave. The third day, this little Irish guy stepped on my shoes so I couldn't. He knew I wouldn't hit an old man. So he stepped on my shoes and said, hey, look, I got an agenda. I got a curriculum I got to instill and indoctrinate these kids with. He says, you're really screwing up my program here. He says, look, I'll give you an A, but don't ever come back to my class. He says, you're totally effing up my ability to teach these people what I got to teach them. So I took the A and I never went back. But I'm telling you, I knew this baloney since 1979, 1980 when that guy pulled that stunt on me. It's common sense. What I do is common sense because, like I said, thank God my dad didn't read or write English, and you're saying your dad doesn't read or write English as well. So he has to deal on what he knows is common sense. So What I have to tell people, if they're good, if they have common sense, this stuff hits them like lightning. They're like, oh yeah, this all makes sense.
But how do I get rights of audience on behalf of my father? Because I've tried lots of different avenues, but it didn't quite work.
That's why you're going to move into Queen's Bench. That's why you're going to move into Queen's Bench, and you're going to act as his next friend.
And as a what friend?
Next, N-E-X-T, his next friend.
Next, N-E-X-T, friend.
You could Google that if you want to, because that's what you do to help the incompetent, the disabled, or the idiots. And idiots is a wonderful thing to be called, too. Believe me. And when the state came to me and tried to hand me a contract, I said, look at me, man. I am an idiot. Any state policy, codes, regulations, or policies that you're trying to enforce upon me, I am an utter idiot. Because idiot means that I can't be held liable, I can't be bound, and I'm not entering into this contract. I'm not under your jurisdiction, control, authority. When you're an idiot, you can't contract with an idiot. It can't be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's illegal, and it's illegal, unlawful, and unethical. You can't do it.
That's quite interesting.
You can't do it. It's like say somebody's on their deathbed, or somebody is on just got into a car accident, or somebody just waking up from a coma, or somebody whatever, and you just put a contract in front of them and tell them to sign it.
Not mentally sane.
You can't do that. You can't take advantage of the incompetent. You can't take advantage of a woman or a child. You can't take advantage of an idiot. You can't do it. You can't capitalize on them. You can't. Because that's what capitalize means, to take advantage over somebody less fortunate. You can't capitalize. Yes, this is a capitalist country. Yes, but you still have to have certain rules and ethics that you got to live by. You can't take candy out of a baby's mouth. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Just because the baby can't fight back, it isn't the rule of the fittest. There isn't a jungle out here. I'd love to go back up to Canada and have like a U.S. passport, but if they say passport, I go, passport what? It's like, do you have a passport? It's like, what? What do you mean, do I have a passport? And then just say to them, do you require of me, a man, to cross over here to over there, and I require a piece of paper? So I'd hold the Border Patrol guy liable as a man to deny access to crossing over a piece of land, going from one piece to another piece.
Actually, you've just mentioned an important point there. As a man, so you ask his name, for instance, and he says, my name's Officer 38, and you say, no, I'm not asking for your office badge number. I'm asking for your name, and then they only give you Mr. Right. Smith, and they refuse to give the beginning part.
Right. I just say, okay, Bob.
Are you happy with that?
Well, that's what I say. I say, okay, Bob. I just call him Bob.
Oh, Bob.
Say, hey, Bob. Say, are you telling me I can't go from this part of the road to that part of the road without a piece of paper? Are you saying I can't go past this gate? Are you telling me that you're going to interfere with my right to go as a man, to go from this part on planet Earth to this point on planet Earth? So like I said to my sister, I said I was going to do that. I was going to go up to Canada when I was up in Indiana because I wasn't that far away from Canada. And I said to her, but I had a rental car. I said what I would have had to do was like take a taxi over the border or walk across the border and then try to walk back across the United States border. I didn't want to lose the rental car on the Canadian side and just say, well, this guy gave us a hard time, so we locked him up and da-da-da-da. And just have a nice big lawsuit going on. It's like, okay, you telling me as a man that that I'm limited to my right to travel on planet Earth because I don't have a piece of paper? Who's saying I need a piece of paper? Well, Department of Homeland Security. Oh, is that Mr. or Mrs. Department of Homeland Security? Is that a man or a woman? It's like, well, it's an agency. Oh, so you're telling me in a common law land that DHS is going to appear in court, put his hand on the Bible, and swear that I, as a man, cannot go from point A to point B? Oh, I'm going to love to see DHS appear in court. That's going to be lovely. I'll pay to see that. It's like, well, no, an attorney can't make a claim that I can't go. Only the plaintiff must appear and say that I can't go from point A to point B because I'm going to cause it harm or her harm or him harm. I'm not causing DHS harm. Who in DHS am I causing harm? Well, nobody. Who's incurring those financial loss? Well, nobody. Oh, so you're telling me like an insurance company created this Homeland Security policy to protect any kind of bombings to some maybe building in which they're sure from falling down. So you're saying another insurance company policy is restricting my travel. Well, yes, the insurance companies wrote Obamacare for your benefit and for insurance companies' benefit, and they're going to do it for their benefit so no more buildings get blown up. We're going to make it harder and harder to get an insurance company to have to pay out anything.
Yeah.
So we're going to require all you people to have paperwork and go through metal detectors and go through body scans and cavity searches. So the insurance companies don't have to pay out anymore. It's like, oh, isn't that lovely? Well, I'm going to have to say opt out and say I'm a man, and I'm going to have to opt out. And it's that simple. They can't force a man to comply. You can just opt out. It's like, well, I wish to opt out. They do that at airports over here. They go, I wish to opt out. And then when you opt out, they try to make your life holy hell by touching you and stuff like that. Say, if you touch me, if you trespass upon my property, I'm going to hold you liable. But see, nobody just says something simple like that. Now, do you wish to trespass upon my property? Go ahead and touch me and find out what happens. They'll say, is that a threat? No, I just gave you fair warning. I'm going to hold you liable for damage. So go ahead and trespass. You wish to trespass? I'm telling you, you're trespassing. Go ahead and do it. You want to do it?
Actually, that brings up another point. Basically, this enforcement officer that came to our land, I wrote a letter to him and said, don't come to our land again. And I said, I'm going to hold you liable for any trespass. And he kept coming a few times after that with his colleagues and this, that, and the other.
Oh, that's because you didn't hand him a bill. You didn't say, hey, look, if you trespass upon my...
What I did was I wrote a bill to his home address, and then the council. He spoke to the council, and the council applied an injunction on me because he felt threatened.
Yeah. Because you should invite him onto your land. You should invite everybody to that they're having a Rolling Stone concert on your land, and there's going to be an admission fee.
An admin fee. Oh, okay.
You should have invited them. Please appear.
Oh, so please appear and discuss why you think that you...
If you wish to appear, there's going to be an admission fee. That way he could say, well, no, there's no admission fee. Say, hey, the Rolling Stones are going to appear here. You want to be here the same time they're here? It's going to be an admission fee. He's like, you want to be here the same time I'm here? It's going to be an admission fee.
I did say to them a ridiculous fee, like $100,000, £100,000.
Yeah, I'd make it reasonable. I did say to him in the invoice that if he'd make an early payment, that I'd accept $10,000. Yeah, you could do that. You could say make a payment plan and get a coupon book.
But then the thing was is that they applied an injunction against us because they felt threatened. So do you think that was just delayed?
If you appear before tea time, man, you'll get 10% discount. I mean, you like I said, they love when you're funny. They actually enjoy it, man. Because they realize what you're doing, and they realize
messing with them. Yeah.
They realize what you're doing, and they realize that you see the absurdity in it.
Neighbor across the street, dog comes over, takes crap on my lawn. I go next door and say, hey, stop doing that. Blah. I put him on notice. Okay? All right? He keeps doing it. So then I send him a letter. How do you do? All right? Say, hey, if it happens again, you owe me $5,000. All right? He throws it in the garbage. Okay? I do it through certified mail. Okay? And I sign it. All right? Does it again. I said, look, put him on notice. So you got 3 pieces of paper in 60 days, right? Okay.
That's a hell of a swell guy. That's a swell guy to pick up 60 days worth of poop.
Well, okay, but we could accelerate that. But I'm just trying to make a point. All right, but I get him in brief.
The first time you tell somebody they did wrong, they will compensate you immediately.
They will not. Come on.
Okay, well then if they don't, you hand them the bill, and then you immediately.
How do you collect your bill, Carl?
Then you take them
I'm
to
asking
court.
how do you do it?
Then you take them to court.
Tell me how you do it.
Then you take them to court and you sue them.
Yeah, that's my
it.
point. My point is, but you
what
give
I'm
them
saying is,
first.
if somebody did me wrong, you think, like I said, somebody stole my car, and I got a kid in the backseat. You think I'm going to send them 3 notices? I'm going to say, give me my car back now, or I'm going to take you to court. I'm going to give him about 10 seconds to answer.
You know, guess what? Without any paperwork, before you go into court, you got controversy, man.
Of course you got controversy. That's why you go to court, because you couldn't settle it between your brother.
It's adversarial.
That's right. There's a controversy. That's why you move in court, because there's a controversy.
Look, I can go into court. It's adversarial. That gives the judge jurisdiction. Okay?
No, it doesn't give the judge jurisdiction if you want a trial by jury. That's going to be the judges then. You could say, look, when you're a plaintiff, when you're the moving party, when you're the prosecutor, and you submit your claim before a tribunal, and you place it into a public courthouse, you surrender jurisdiction and control of your paperwork, and now it's up to the judges to decide the merits of your case.
Right.
It's that simple. Right, because you're not a big boy and you can't handle this shit on your own, so you had to go round up a posse and help you collect from the person that done you wrong. So those people are going to judge whether or not that your case has merit, whether or not that you've truly been done wrong. And if you have been done wrong, they will send a posse over there and they will have a warrant of debt on the fucking man, and they will go in, the deputies in the sheriff's department will go in there and they'll strip that man of his property until they put it up in auction and until your debt is paid back, that the juries came down and the verdict of the jury has been satisfied. It's that simple.
Here's the thing, man. I'm trying to enhance your process. You think I'm just going after...
I'm done in 93 seconds.
I know. You think I'm going after the equity court, okay? When I'm not.
I don't care where are you going with this. I just did it so simple. It's scary. Somebody did you wrong. You say, stop doing the wrong.
I am the man, and you're going in there just, I am the man, okay? And you're going into it wrong. You're walking into an admiralty maritime court.
No, I'm not. What admiralty maritime court?
You are walking into an admiralty maritime court with gold fringe around the flag, man. You are walking.
What?
You are an enemy of the state.
You got to watch what happened with the Freemen of Montana. See, this is the Freemen of Montana.
I know all about it, man.
This is the Freemen of Montana nonsense that you're going down, man. I love this federal district court. I love this federal district court judge that went after the Freemen of Montana. What happened when the Freemen of Montana, the Schweitzer guy, when they went before the judge, all of a sudden they started whipping out the Bible. All of a sudden they started whipping out English common law. All of a sudden they started whipping out Magna Carta. All of a sudden they started to do about this gold fringe conspiracy theory wacko nonsense. So I love this district court judge. What this district court judge did is he got out from behind the bench, he took off his robe, he put a wooden chair in front of the Mr. Schweitzer and the Montana Freemen. On the way out off of the pedestal, the altar, the temple of doom, the judge kicked the American flag with the gold fringe to the floor. And he said, okay, the gold flag's gone. I'm not wearing no robe. I'm not part of no clergy or Illuminati. Now, you are going to answer this question. Guilty or not guilty, how do you plead? If anything comes out of your mouth other than that, I am going to hold your ass off. Now, how do you plead? And that was as simple as the man did it. He didn't give a rat's ass about no gold fringe. He didn't give a rat's ass about 10,000 pages that you guys put into these courts, because all it is paper terrorism. You're just trying to interfere with the proper function of a government agency, which is a court. It's a total waste of time. You're going to accomplish absolutely nothing. All Mr. Schweitzer had to do was say, may I have pen and paper so I may answer the court in a proper manner. Now, who is making the claim that I have done him wrong? What is the nature of the charges? Or have you suspended habeas corpus? Because I know the plaintiff has appeared, and the plaintiff must appear because he will appear in all courts throughout all mankind's history. I don't care if you were in a cave. The guy who said that did you wrong, he's going to have to appear because dead men tell no tales, so there must be a live party to point across that courtroom and said that you've done him wrong. If you refuse to appear, the plaintiff does not appear, you have no case. That's all Mr. Schweitzer had to say in his paperwork. He didn't have to go off on English common law. He didn't have to go off on Magna Carta. He didn't have to use the Bible. He didn't have to use any Constitution. He didn't have to use any federal rule of civil procedure, but he did. And you know what? He died in a maximum security prison where? Up in Massachusetts or Arizona. So his process does not effing work, okay? Mine works very simple. When it's the United States of America versus some guy named Greg, I said, oh, good. The United States of America is going to take the witness stand in tax court and point across the courtroom and say that Mr. Greg has caused him, the United States of America, an injury or damage or financial loss or injury or harm to a man known as the United States of America. And they said, well, of course not. Then the plaintiff isn't going to appear. Well, then you have no case. Without the confession coming from this man, you have no case. And the Fed said right into this man's face, right when I was sitting in their office, they said, you're absolutely right. All we have is a paper case, and all we could do is wait and pray and hope that this man finally someday will confess. And there you go. So why don't I teach people the Free Man of Montana way? Why don't I teach them the notary process way? Because it does not work. Okay, let me just ask you a simple question about this common law lien. Where do you file? Where's your common lien? Where do you hold it, or where do you process it? Where do you do? Where does it exist?
Common law lien, it's all done through affidavit. Okay.
And where do these affidavits get stored?
Penalty of perjury.
Where do they get stored? Where do they get stored? Where they get housed? Where they get filed? Or where they get submitted? Where do they do that?
Well, you can put it wherever you want. I mean, I personally myself, I use public record, and I actually use the county recording office in the county. Okay,
let me just show you the massive difference between what you believe is a common law lien and what I believe is a common law lien. Okay.
Sure.
When Augusta County Sheriff's Department came into my sister's house to execute a warrant of debt, the man said to me, we got a judgment and a lien that we are going to place upon your sister, and we are going to strip that building of all the possessions in that building to satisfy this debt, okay, because we got a lien. I said, oh, lovely. What kind of lien do you have there? And it's like, oh, good, you got a judgment, you got a lien. Oh, that's lovely. The only problem is I have a common law lien against my sister. And they said,
first off, that's not a lien. That's a left.
Okay, one more time. See, this is my show. That's what's great. I get to cut you off. One more time. I said to the deputy, I have a lien against my sister. And he says, oh, really? Yes, it's a common law lien. Now, you said you take your common law liens and you put it with the county recorder, you put it with the newspapers, you put it with the state, you put it with the feds. You know what? When he said to me, where's your lien recorded? You know what I said? I put my finger right to my head. I said, the common law lien is right here in my brain. I store it right here. He says, oh, yeah, how do I know it's true? I said, watch my lips. I'm going to utter it. And I will press that on any record in open court and any place I am summoned to appear. I will press upon the record my lien that I have upon my sister. That is the most superior lien, the most superior claim that you will ever see exist upon this land. No lawyer could come to court and testify that a lien exists. No piece of paper could be brought before the court and says it exists. It has to be uttered from a man. And I say I have a lien on my sister's property and everything that she owns. That lien will stand true for all time, and nobody can ever challenge it, and it'll always have standing in any court you wish me to appear. And I tell those people, everybody who's heard my stuff a million times, when I was done talking to the deputy, he grabbed me by the shoulder and says, God bless you, I love people to know the law. I didn't say I had a UCC-1 on her, and then I had a supplemental UCC-3, and I put all these scheduling fees on her, and I spent tens of thousands of hours studying UCC code. I didn't do any of this nonsense with that poor deputy. I didn't whip out this huge portfolio of everything that he could find that was recorded with the county recorder. I put my finger to my head, and he said, oh, where do I store the lien? Right here. He said, oh, yeah, come on now. And you want to know where it's going to be recorded? In any open court in which I'm summoned to appear to utter it and place it and press it upon a record. That's where that fucking lien will be noticed as true. And nobody will come forth and rebut my fucking claim because no attorney can say, oh, well, that's ridiculous because he has no standing in court. And that lien that the deputy was trying to execute on was from Macy's, a credit card company, and a law firm from Richmond. So I knew my lien would stand up against anything Macy's wanted to place an affidavit in because nobody from Mr. or Mrs. Susie Macy was ever going to appear in court to testify that any of that affidavits were true. And like Malik did, he says, Malik is so funny, I was going around with that poor guy. I said, dude, you're moving Cook County into the court. You're moving the state of Illinois. They're the defendant. He says, no, I'm the defendant in this DUI thing. I said, you're the fucking petitioner. You're the fucking moving party. The state of Illinois is defending itself from you. And it's like, that's fucking crazy, Karl. I said, dude, you think I'm fucking crazy? Hey, let's write a letter to the Secretary of State and let's get his motherfucking opinion. So we wrote a letter to the Secretary of State. And he's like, my God, Karl. He said exactly what you said. I'm fucking the petitioner, and they're the defendant. And I'm the one who's got to convince the court, not the fucking state of Illinois. He says, shit, Karl, I've been looking at this thing backwards. I said, yeah, you guys all look at this shit backwards, man. I said, once you guys realize you're looking at it backwards, then maybe it'll start making a little bit of sense to you.
Yeah.
But until you realize this is the way they're looking at it, and you think they're fucking crazy, they're looking at you and saying, you're just fucking stupid. You know, they're not looking at you crazy. They're just like, oh, there goes Junior again, throwing a temper tantrum, yeah, hang all the judges, yeah, attorneys are crooks, yeah. Everybody sucks. Yeah, sure. It's like this, they just look at you like you're freaking clueless. It's like, dude, you're the one who's moving this court. We're not moving it. It's like you're convicting yourself. This is a confession process. It's like the Catholic Church. You think the Catholic Church burned people? You think the Catholic Church killed people back during the Inquisition? No, they all confessed, and they all begged the priest to kill them. That's how the priests were able to go to sleep at night. It's like, well, aren't we like killing these people, like burning them at the stake and shit? No. They're all confessing that this is the punishment that they should get because their souls will be released now. They could go to heaven and they can only be quenched and cleansed with fire. So, like, oh, these people really believe that? Oh, yeah, we got that confession right here. Didn't we have to break all their knuckles to get it? No, we were just trying to exorcise the devil out of them, and the devil was keeping them from confessing. Once we broke the body, we let their spirit free to see they confessed. So it's just insane, man, how they justify their crazy shit throughout the centuries. It's the same thing the courts are doing to you guys now.
Misdemeanor on their record. They can't get rid of it, right? Even if they.
What would it matter, man? What anybody? If you could. One, yes, you could get anything expunged from a record if you want to. All you have to do is say by that being placed upon my name or that name which I claim, it's causing me harm. And if you don't fucking remove that, I'm going to have to make a claim against the person who's in control of that.
Okay.
You'd always make it that if somebody's doing something or somebody's not doing something, and by doing what they're doing, their policy, procedures, or practices is causing you a man harm, and that, yes, that maybe that policies, practice, and rules was put there for a benefit for society, for the general good, it still doesn't negate the fact that it's causing you a man harm, and that you need them to cease and desist immediately.
Oh. And you will file that with the court, right?
No, you find out with the fucking person that's doing it to you. You find like a vital statistics or who's ever in control of the paperwork. You go to them first.
Okay.
And if they say, well, you need a court order, it's like, okay, so I guess at this point, Bobby, you're telling me no, right, Susie? You're a man, and you know that by what you are doing and failing to do is causing another man harm and financial loss. You are now making yourself liable for causing of my injury or my financial loss. So is that how you want to is that how you're going to stand in court? Like, I'm giving you a warning here. Is this your story? Is this what you're going to stick to? That you're doing it? You're a good little Nazi, and you're going to put a bullet in my head because Hitler gave you a piece of paper that said kill me. So is this how you're going to roll? Well, look, I'm just carrying out my orders. Good. Now, that's what they said at Nuremberg trials, and they killed all those fucking German officers that put bullets in little kids' heads. So just because you're carrying out orders, don't carry them out, man. If somebody's telling you, hey, man, you're going to hurt me if you do that. You can't hurt somebody just because somebody else orders you to do it.
Yeah.
Like I said, now, if you're killing a soldier, that's one thing, because that guy's coming at you with a gun, he's going to kill you. But you just can't just shoot little women and children in the head. They didn't pose any imminent means of any kind of death or destruction to you. What was the purpose of you doing that to these people? Well, we didn't look at them as people.
Yeah.
You can't just do that. I don't give a damn what a piece of paper told you could do. Well, if I didn't do that, they would have, they would have, busted me out of the army. Oh well. So at least you would have died with a clear conscience that you didn't fucking just hurt and blow up a little baby's brain. Isn't it better that you could have died with a clear conscience? Well, they would have shot me if I didn't carry out the order. Well, good. Well, if I didn't do that, they would have killed me. Really? How many German soldiers did you see shot and killed because they wouldn't kill Jewish kids? Well, I didn't see anybody. Well, they told us that they might have. Yeah, well, you know what? Until they do it, you're only conjecturing that that's what they might have done to you. It's just funny, man. Like I said, it's just amazing, man. And thank God we got, like I said, all this past history in which we can rely upon. Like I said, like something just as simple as the Nuremberg trials or the O.J. Simpson trial or this latest one, the Zimmerman trial. Same thing, Zimmerman trial. He got away because dead men tell no tales. The black kid was dead. The Chilean or Argentinian kid, whoever it was, the Zimmerman guy, he got away with it. Why? Because dead men tell no tales. Who knows who threw the first punch? Who knows? There was no eyewitness. And Zimmerman didn't say a fucking thing. The other side had to prove their case. They couldn't prove their case. Maybe the guy got away with murder. Who the hell knows? Because dead men tell no tales. And you can't convict a guy unless somebody gets to testify that they've seen who or who did not throw the first punch. No way of knowing.
That's right.
But that's the rule of law. Sometimes a guy like an O.J. Simpson gets away with it. Everybody knows he's guilty as dirt. And the Zimmerman thing, honestly, man, that's a tough one. It's a 50-50 coin toss. Because both guys could have started. Who knows? I wasn't there. It's just a guess. And do you want the price of somebody's life on your hand by making a wrong guess? And the jury has to say, well, no. That's why we have a rule of law. Does there have to be an eyewitness? Yes. Just like Judge Judy said. Judge Judy said to the busload of Catholic nuns, when a black guy hit their bumper off their front bumper in New York, and the guy said, the Judge Judy said to the nuns, what makes you think this man did it? Well, we got a busload of orphans that's seen him do it, and he gave us a bogus phone number, and he told us that this junkyard will give you a free bumper. Look for Bubba, he's my brother, and he'll give you a free bumper. We went to the junkyard. They said, we don't know nobody named Leroy, and there ain't nobody down here named Bubba. And they were like, and the nuns were like, well, now we just went to $500. And then she said to the nuns, well, let's see what Leroy's got to say. Leroy, what do you have to say? He says, those bitches are fucking cracking nonsense motherfuckers. They never seen my life. They just pinned the first black guy they fucking seen coming down a fucking road. I don't know who these fuckers are. I never fucking went down. I don't have a driver's license. I just came out of prison. I'm not allowed to drive. I'm on parole. So Judge,
I've been trying to find that episode ever since you said it the last show. Can I find that on YouTube?
When you watch the Judge Judy shows, you could skip the first 25 minutes and just watch the last 5 minutes. So however many, if they sell them in a series pack or something like that, just get to every last episode of Judge Judy show the last 5 minutes. That guy was brilliant. By just saying, I don't recall, I don't have a fucking clue, these fuckers are setting me up, they're just picking the first motherfucker that walked. It was Catholic fucking nuns with a bus full of fucking orphans, man. It's hysterical, man. And the judge was like, look, I know this guy's lying through his teeth. I know it. I know he did it. I said, there's no way in the world you fucking nuns would possibly move a fucking court and to make a claim against anybody. You must be desperate for the money at this orphanage or you would have never brought anybody into court. So obviously, I know this guy did it. You got 50 freaking kids here. They're all swearing up and down he's the guy. But honestly, you need a third-party impartial witness. Did you ask, like, some little old lady walking down the street, can you put this in your mind? Can I take your name down as a witness to this accident? No, you never thought that you'd be stiffed for a bumper. The guy learned all his law from being in prison all his life. This guy's got a record a mile fucking long. He's got jailhouse fucking attorney skills. you're never going to beat this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So the people who get in trouble their whole life, they know how to get out of it because they've been getting in it their whole life, and they know how to work the system. She was like, he just knows how to work the system. You're never going to beat this guy. I know he's guilty of sin. He's laughing. He's mocking us. He thinks this is a total joke. But like Judge Judy said, look, but you good, godly Christian white women got to realize that when you good, godly Christian white woman messed around with a black guy down in Alabama 50, 60 years ago, and all of a sudden you got busted with this black guy, all of a sudden you screamed rape, and the next thing you know, this guy was swinging from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes around, goes around. Now in this country, you need a third-party impartial witness. No matter who you are, no matter what color you are, no matter who you think you are, you need a third-party impartial witness, and you ain't got it. So I got to set this man free. Mm. And that's the whole rule of law in this country, third-party impartial witness. You need a man to testify under oath who has nothing to gain by either side winning what happened, what he saw, what he witnessed. Until then, it's 50-50.
This man from Colorado sent me all this stuff, and I said, oh, boy, this is terrible. I said, who wrote this? And he said, well, I did. I copied it off of you. I said, no, let's just go the first couple of sentences, word for word. I said, what makes you think what does this word, the word take, mean to you? He says, that's what it means. I said, well, that sounds like you're kind of demanding something from somebody, doesn't it? I said, if somebody says take you, take notice. I said, I present a notice. So I'm giving them as a present. I'm giving them a notice as a present. You're saying take notice. You're like, take this, you bad man. Take this, you varmint. Take this. I said, take sounds like it's like a negative word. It's a fighting word, confrontational. I said, why don't you present them a notice? Because it's a present. You present them a notice. You're giving them a gift. If they've done wrong, they certainly want to be noticed of it, and they certainly want to, be able to correct the wrong. They certainly don't want to go have their wrongs. If they've been doing somebody wrong, of course they want to be noticed that they've been doing wrong so they could stop doing wrong. You got to take it with the attitude that if somebody knows that they're doing something wrong, that they're glad when you're telling them, hey, you know what you're doing is wrong. You know what? This would be the right way, or this would be the correct way to do it. I was like, oh, really? Thanks. I didn't know I was doing it wrong. Yes, like, yeah, well, you were doing me wrong, and now that I told you, I was like, oh, yes, I certainly don't want to do anything wrong to anybody.
Clarify, when you said, okay, you get to a certain point in the case, and you're saying that you give the order, and I was kind of thrown off by that because wouldn't the order come from the judge, the magistrate, or could you clarify that?
No, because all orders come from the parties. It comes from either the defendant or it comes from the plaintiff. Or you could call the guy the wrongdoer and the prosecutor. I don't care how you want to stylize it, or the claimant and the defendant. I don't care how you word the two people, but if it comes from the legalese point of view, if it comes from an attorney, he can propose orders. That's all he can do is he can make a proposal of an order. He can't place an order before the court because he doesn't want to be held liable. Because whoever makes an order is going to be the one ultimately liable for the order. So he doesn't want to make an order. The attorney doesn't want to make an order. So the attorney is going to propose an order. And then that's when the judge or the jury comes back with the rendering of the verdict, whether that order should be recognized as a legitimate order. Then it'll be the order of the court, which means that if you are the defendant and you pled into that court, then you bound yourself to that order as well. So you can't sue nobody. You can't say, well, you ordered me, so I'm going to... No. Did you accept the role of defendant? Yes. Well, then you accept any ruling from the court. You can't come after the court and say, well, you gave me an order, so now you're going to pay for it. No. That's not the way it works. So and people get confused about this minute orders or these minute orders. They get confused a lot. And all that means is, say you created an order and somebody did you wrong standing next to you, and they said, hell, I didn't screw you out of your money for 2 years. I screwed you out of your money for 3 years. And then you say to the judge, oh, I'd like to amend my order to include this additional year worth of damages. And the judge will say, okay. And then that's a minute order, a minute order. It's an order that pops up in the middle of the trial or the hearing because you've just been made aware of it. So now you're going to make a new claim for it. So the judge is going to attach it to your order that you, sent into the court, with your claim. When you make a claim, a lawsuit, then you're obviously placing the order in there at the same time too. So the other side knows what you're demanding or what you require. Or what you require.
The magistrate still have to.
That's always the magistrate. Yeah, go ahead, man. You'd ask me.
The magistrate, but if you put the order in, the magistrate still has to sign off on your order in order to make it binding.
Well, first he has to make sure both parties are aware that, it's like if you want to actually go by like Rule 17, there's got to be real parties of interest. You can't just sue Santa Claus because you didn't get a toy for Christmas. He's got to make sure, wait a second, is there a real party standing on the other side? Is there another party to this? Who are you suing now? Oh, I'm suing God. Oh, really? Well, you know what? Honestly, I don't have jurisdiction over God, so if you want to try to place this order upon him, you can't do it through me. So he's got to make sure he's got jurisdiction over both parties before he can say, okay, now, you guys, the guy in the black robe is just basically a guy who's watching two people go out to a pistol duel. And so he's just the guy standing between the two guys saying, okay, take 20 paces, turn and fire. Or take 10 paces, turn and fire, whatever the rules are of the engagement. So all he's saying is, okay, did you answer this man? It's like, yes. Well, then as soon as you answered that man, then he's got jurisdiction over both of you. So he's like, okay, like you turned and shot at one guy, good, he shot at you. Did you turn and shoot back? Yes. Okay, great. We got a case. We got, I got something I could make a ruling on. Then he's going to say, okay, you made the claim, okay, and you gave an answer. You fired back an answer. So now we got now it's on. So let me see where yours went. Let me see where yours went. Okay, you're closer. You win.
So why are we not allowed to ask what the definition of certain words are that come on court paperwork?
The best way to explain this, like, I can't enter into under your control, your jurisdiction, until I'm competent to stand. I mean, I'm not competent to stand, so somebody's going to have to define your terms to me in a manner that I can understand. Everybody now has the right to know what they're being charged with.
Yeah.
That's habeas corpus. I mean, do the Habeas Corpus Act of 1679 on his ass. Just study that. I think there's only 5 sections of the Habeas Corpus Act. It's really simple. And don't look, and you guys are right over there. You go get the original document. Don't get some easy English version that was written in 1999. That's a new and improved version of the Act. No, you go get the original paperwork, the original document, and read it.
I did know Colin was also mentioning about a quo warrantus, original quo warrantus.
You don't got to worry about any of that nonsense. You don't got to overturn nobody because they're never going to get jurisdiction over you. And
well, we've certainly not given it directly anyway. We do. They ask my father's name and his date of birth, so in that side they have. But then we always ask him, say, have you got any jurisdiction? Is there X, Y, and Z? Have you got a contract?
And that's all you have to do is all you have to do is talk plain, simple language. You don't have to say quo warranto. You don't got to do any of that nonsense.
Yeah, I do try to stick to plain English now.
If you want to do it in your paperwork, if you guys saw my paperwork, how I do it is like, not only do I believe that you have no jurisdiction, but if you look at the 1679 Act, the Habeas Corpus Act, you'll see in Section 2, it clearly stipulates that the moving party must appear in open court and testify against the one who's done him wrong. So is the plaintiff going to appear in court, point across the room, and say that I've done him wrong, yes or no? Because I have the right to cross-examine.
So if the enforcement officer appears on behalf of habeas corpus, the plaintiff must appear, so you're saying he's liable for everything?
Oh, yeah. You better believe it, because he's the one who's got to move the case. The plaintiff is the one who's got to move the case, prove the case, bring the body into the court. It's just like I said, say the United States of America wanted to sue me. I'd say, okay, that's fine. I'll gladly accept your summons to appear. Now they gave me a summons to appear. So there you go. That's saying bring the body forward. So they're like, okay, The body will probably bring himself. You know, I got a car, I'll deliver it myself to the court. That's fine. I'll bring myself to the court. I'll make your life easy. But now when I get there, I better see the plaintiff sitting there waiting to say in open court what I've done wrong. So now when I see the paperwork, I see the paperwork. Right, I see the paperwork. It says United States of America. I've never met the man. He said I've done wrong. I'd be more than glad to square it with the man or the woman. I don't know. Is it Mr. America or Mrs. America? You know, Mrs. Great Britain, Mrs. UK. I don't fucking know. I said I never. But if he's making a claim and summons me to appear that I've done wrong, I'd be more than glad to compensate him. It's like, well, his attorneys are sitting right over there, and the attorneys will tell you what they want, what the United States of America wants, and what UK wants. No, I want to hear it directly out of the man I done wrong. I want to hear it directly out of the United States of America. I don't want to hear it out of the... Can you ask
this at a hearing, or is this on the trial, or is it any different?
No, a hearing's basically a waste of time. A hearing's just a way to trick you guys into saying something that you shouldn't say. Say, nope, just take me right to freaking trial. I want to have a trial. I want it now. Like the guy did in...
If you haven't pleaded, how do you go to trial?
What I'm saying is if somebody said that I'd done wrong, it's like, oh, great, you said I did wrong? Good. You summons me to appear here for a trial? Well, no, it's just arraignment, it's just a hearing. No. I'm here for a trial. I want to know who I did wrong, and I want that person to sit across the, I want that man or woman to point across the courtroom, point me out and say, I'm the one that done him wrong. I'm the one who owes him a debt, and make him say it in open court that it's true. Everything that he's got on that paper is true.
I think there's a problem with jurisdiction or something, because we just don't seem to really get past jurisdiction.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What I always say to anybody with any kind of arraignment, I always give you guys that trial of the regicides. I always say that's the lawyer did the only thing right. Is I want that person to come across the courtroom and point out and says I did him wrong. So that's all it is. It's like, I will settle any debt. I will settle anything wrong. If I've done wrong to a man, I will settle the matter with him now. I just wish he would have came forth and told me before the policeman dragged me into this room. I just wish I got to meet the plaintiff and settled it with the man. So is the plaintiff going to come forward now and hand me his demand of compensation? Or no? I want to compensate whoever I've done wrong. Just tell me who I've done wrong, and I'll pay whatever the debt that is due. And that's it. That's how you're going to get control over me. Anything else, I don't want to hear it. You got any like any guy from the black robe, anything else comes out of your mouth, I don't want to hear it. The only I want to hear is that's the man that claims, or that's the woman over there that claims you did him wrong. You owe him X amount of dollars for doing him wrong. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear, well, you parked on the wrong side of the road. What? Who's making the claim? The city is. Okay, well, have the city come in open court and say that I've done it wrong and how much.
What do you mean by open court? Define that again, because I missed it on one of your other calls before.
Because nothing is true until it's uttered in open court, until it's been pressed upon the record. See, when it's on file, it's like a closed court. You can say that's closed court. The court isn't open yet. When the court is open, look at the old Athens and Greece, the forums that they had over there, where the whole countryside would be summoned to appear because they're going to have a trial for, like, say, Socrates or something like that. So they all would cast their vote in an open forum, in an open court. So the whole world witnessed it. It wasn't like a Star Chamber thing that you guys had for a while. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So everybody can witness.
Or compared to the Star Chamber.
Record.
Right. That's the difference between open court and Star Chamber. There you go.
Okay.
But it's more bona fide. It's more legitimate. The whole world witnessed it. The whole world was invited. The whole world could have their opinion on it. The whole world voted on it.
Because originally when I said, is this not a common law court? And they said, but statutes have a precedent. And I said, right. Well, how can statutes have a precedent? They sit on top of
some sort of license there, some franchise, there's something that you guys agree to abide by, a certain set of rules. You're like, it's saying, are we playing cricket or are we playing rugby? It's like, we're playing cricket. Well, then you're playing under the rules of cricket. And then you say, wait a second, how did I get here? I'm a rugby player. How did I get here? It's like, well, you can ask them, how do you believe you have jurisdiction and control of me? How do you believe I got here? Was it through a license? Was it through permits? Was it through a franchise? How do you believe
you have the right to, bring me forth before your tribunal. How do you believe? Where do you believe you acquired that power or that authority? And they're going to have to provide it to you. So good thing you have an interpreter that's really not any good right now, because that's a great way to delay this stuff until you guys figure out what the hell's going on.
Should I send that in writing, or should I wait for the next?
Oh, everything's in writing. Nothing's open. No, I would never utter, unless it's my court. If it's my court, then I want to speak.
Oh.
But if it's their court, I would never open my mouth in their court, because if you open your mouth in their court, that gives them jurisdiction over you because you're competent. Say they dragged you into a Chinese court. Say they dragged you into the Chinese embassy over there, and they started having all this crap.
Started speaking Chinese.
You'd be like, I don't have a freaking clue. You drag me into the Chinese embassy here in the city of London. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I got no idea why I'm here. You got the wrong guy. We all look the same to you people. You know what? Let me go home. And they'd be coming at you with all this crazy Chinese dialogue, and be like, dude, I have no clue what you're saying. But as soon as you start speaking Chinese to them, then they say, oh, you know exactly what we're doing to you.
Okay.
So you never show any sign of competency in their court. In your court, you're totally competent because it's your rules, your game. You wrote the damn thing. You created it. You could tell me exactly what that painting means. You threw all that crap on a canvas. It's like, well, you could tell me that that's man's manifestation over the planet Earth and how he's so insignificant in the intergalactical scope of fucking the third dimension. Whatever. It's like, look, man, it's 3 drops of blue paint, yellow paint, red paint. Well, that's what I interpreted. It's mine. I created it. I'm telling you what it was. You want to know what it is? That's what it is. But now when somebody else throws those 3 ball paints on a canvas, and then you're trying to tell him what it means, and you're talking back and forth to him, but then he'd say, oh, you know what that means? Yes, that's a green, blue, and that's what it is. It's like, oh, good. So you're competent. You know what's going on. Yes, I do. I see what you see. Oh, good.
Yeah, trespass on your properties, because your property is your rights. Rights are part of your property. So I never diminish anything by saying my rights. It's my property, and rights just happen to be what is part of my overall property.
Yeah.
My heartbeat, my dreams, my aspirations, my goals, my hopes, my rights—they're all part of my property. Yeah. It's a subset of my property. So, like I said, I don't diminish it, And like I said, governments only exist to protect private property. That's what they do. Not to protect rights, to protect property. And like I said, rights are just a subset of property. So I don't want to micromanage it. I just say the huge word property, which basically covers everything, which I claim.
Yeah.
So it makes it simple. I just try to make it as simple as fast as I can.
That's fantastic.
I think it's just It's just a learning process now, for folks to understand the basic concept of what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think it's really. Like I said, when Angela asked me to do a show like a year ago, I said I don't know if I got enough stuff to talk about for 2-3 hours. I said this stuff, what I do is so simple. I just say to them when they come to me, "Who are you?" And they say who they are, and I say, "Well, are you here in a government capacity?" Yes. Then by what right do you have to address me? And they say, well, I said, well, you do know you're talking to a man, correct? Yes. Well, when I need your help, I'll come to you. Are you talking to me as a man? No. You're talking to me as a public servant? Yes. Then I don't require any of your services at this time. Please let me alone. And that's it. Now, what did that take me? I bet if somebody backloads the show, it'll take me 37 seconds to say that. Now, how I can make 80 episodes on that is God only knows. But I've done 80 episodes now on that little simple line. And I'm done. But they know when you know what you're talking about, because they try to take you down any kind of path. You just block them. And then you block them here. Then you block them here. Then you block them. You say, sir, are you going to trespass? Well, the law says, oh, no, the law reads. The law doesn't say anything. The law reads. That little book you have, well, that's how you're interpreting it. That's what you believe it reads. Now, we go to court, and we'll let the jury determine what it reads. Now, the jury will tell us what it says. But until then, you're just telling me what you believe it reads. That's your belief. That's not my belief. Like I said, it's so much fun dealing with any kind of government agent. I have so much fun dealing with any kind of attorney or judge. I have such a good time. And you guys are just terrified. And I'm just trying to get you guys to the point where you're happy to deal with these people too. And these people actually enjoy dealing with people like me. They actually say, "Oh boy, that was fun." It's like,
yeah,
well,
because
it's because I got away with it. There's 10 billion more that's not going to get away with it. So they don't care that one or two slides through every time. They don't care. It's entertaining.
yeah, according to Halesbury's administrative law, we can't even legislate those courts lawful. We can't even statute them lawful under statute, because the Queen has sworn, she's bonded, she's under oath to govern the people according to their customs.
Right.
Now, as we know, customs is common law, so they're not even courts, and the people inside them aren't even judges, and it says it in our own law.
Yeah, they're hearing officers. They're hearing. A lot of them are not even wearing the costumes anymore. A lot of them are just wearing street clothes.
Yeah.
They're not even pretending anymore to be, considered like a common law judge. Where they actually believe they have power, over a man. They're not even playing their role anymore. They're like, look, we're civil administrating hearing officers. You could actually Google that. You could actually Google civil administrating hearing officers, and you'll find most of the results you'll find will be over in New South Wales, Australia, New Zealand. That's where you're going to find it. If you just Google, let's do quote-unquote civil administrating hearing officers. They're not even calling them judges anymore. Because there's people like me out there saying, look, I get invited to be seated as a hearing officer, a civil administrative hearing officer. And I'm not wearing a black robe. I got no bond. I'm just there for a contract dispute. Do you got a driver's license? Yes. I'm just there for a contract dispute. You got a contract with the state that you're going to operate a certain thing? Well, this officer right here, the policy officer for this, it says that you're in breach of a contract. Are you or are you not? Did you do 70 and a 55? Yes, then you're in breach of a contract. So I'm an administrative hearing officer, and this is the final penalty. If you want to keep operating under this piece of plastic, you're going to pay the $50 fine. That's all I am. Now, if you're telling me you're a man, and you're traveling from point A to point B, well, then I have no jurisdiction over you. It's that simple.
Because they're still doing what they're going to do anyway, even though they know.
You forgot to tell them you're a man. You want this piece of plastic. The judge, a guy like me, could ask you a simple question: do you want to keep your driver's license? Yes or no? He says yes. Well, then this is the fine for doing this. I'm just reading it out of the book. I'm not penalizing you anything other than what you already agreed to. You agreed that if you go 15 miles over speed limit or 20 kilometers over speed limit, this is what you're going to pay. You already agreed to this. Do you or do you not want to continue under this license? Yes, I want to continue under the license. Well, this is what you must pay then. If you don't want to pay, look, there's no law that says you must operate under this license. If you want to be a man and go from point A to point B, God bless you, do it. But if you want to be part of our little group, of our little membership club, if you want to have the card-carrying member, this is what you have to do when you break the rule. Just like if you're playing football, this is the rule. You break the rule, you're going to get a yellow card. You do it again, you get a red card. I don't want to tell you. Do you want to play? Well, then no. Then go play fucking cricket. Go play something else. But if this is what you want, you got to understand. Did you do that? Did you trip that guy? Yeah, here's a yellow card. You want to play by these rules or don't you want to play by the rules? If you don't want to play, go someplace else. Go someplace where you can trip people. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, but the thing is, we need to get back to the analogy of the scuba suits, because there's some benefits that you want and there's some benefits that you don't.
Right.
So when you're taking the scuba suits off, they're picking it up off the road and still bringing it in with you or whatever the case may be.
Well, like I said to folks, when I couldn't pay them their 20 quid or their 15, I couldn't pay the amount they wanted at that time, I'd make payment plans with the court clerk, because I still wanted to operate I have a commercial driver's license. I still made money doing what I did. As a taxi driver, I drove a tractor trailer, I drove all kinds of vehicles, so you actually had to have a commercial license, which I wanted to have, because if somebody thought that they were just going to start driving a taxi in my town, in my city, and they weren't licensed, I'd be pissed. Say, hey, whoa, this is a restricted trade. I'm not going to make any money if you're going to let these guys ride for $1 when for me to break even is 10.
So no, so I understood the concept of commercial and business and protect your your turf and stuff like that, and everybody should have a certain a background check to be a taxi driver. You shouldn't just let some baby raper or some psycho killer drive a taxi.
All the void judgment is you're just saying that it never existed, that nobody had the jurisdiction or the capacity to make such a judgment against you, and that you can't be held liable. So that's void judgment. Well, that took all of 12 seconds. I gotta start extending these explanations. These 12 seconds explanations gives a lot of dead air. Yeah, well, has me making a lot of stories. So yeah, I should make the void judgments last a little bit longer. Where do you file a void judgment in the same court in which they made the judgment in the first place? You basically tell them they had no jurisdiction or authority to make such a judgment against you. And then that way the other side will have the ability to challenge your belief that the judgment they had, rendered against you was a legitimate judgment and it should stand as true. And that's basically where you're taking the void judgment. And I know it kind of sounds crazy because you're basically asking the same judge that he had no jurisdiction over it. But that's what you would do with a void judgment. That's why I tell folks, well, if you want to play this void judgment stuff, you got to understand, and you're going to have to go to like courts of appeals. And I explained to folks a billion times how the man who ran the court of appeals up in Alabama told me it was a rigged game. Because even if you win in a court of appeals, you take the ruling from the court of appeals, you take the ruling from the Supreme Court of the state, you take the ruling from the Supreme Court of the United States, and you bring it back to the original court of original jurisdiction before the original judge. And now all you're really doing is pissing off that judge because you went above his head and you got this ruling now in your favor that he should void the judgment, and he's still going to tell you to piss off, and he's going to say this judgment still stands as true. So you're basically wasting your time playing this legalese nonsense with these void judgments. And just if you really believe something is not true or you shouldn't be held liable for it, take them to in front of the highest court of the land, which is a court of record, which is a trial by jury, and let the people, the common folks within your community, don't run over to federal court. Take them right into your local district court, local county court, the smallest little mom and pop courthouse that you got in your little district or territory or province or whatever you want to call it, and just get wherever seats a trial by jury. I don't care if it's 6 people. I don't care if it's 3 people. I don't care if it's 12 people. I don't care if it's everybody in the community. Who's the jury? I don't care. I don't care about the numbers. As long as it's a trial by jury, then no court of the United States government could retry the matter. And that's that 7th Amendment thing I do with you guys all the time.
Okay, federal court. What does federal mean throughout the world? What does federal mean?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, it's simple. All it is like some man from Thunder Bay up in Canada said, he called up during one of these shows and said, oh, you had a case going on today. How did it work out? He said, well, when I came out of federal court today, it worked out pretty good. So if you think federal is exclusive to the United States government's jurisdiction or authority and control, see, you'd be in error. See, if you knew what the word federal meant, there's federal courts in China. There's federal courts in Canada. There's federal courts in Mexico. Federal isn't exclusive to the corporation known as the United States of America. That's not like a Coca-Cola, like a trademark. It's not like you wouldn't be infringing on somebody's corporate structure by using the word federal. Federal is a Hebrew word. It just means to pledge. That's all it is. It's a Hebrew word. It means to pledge. Like you pledge to meet, like at a certain location. Not in a certain location, but at a certain location. So when I'm in federal court, I'm in a mindset that I pledge to meet you in a court in a civil manner, and I'm going to meet at the district court, which is located on 1 Church Street, Montgomery, Alabama.
Great.
Okay. So there's a lot of little nuances of what all these words mean, and that was great about the folks from Canada when I wrote this for them at Queen's Bench. The court clerk lady was incredibly intelligent, and she went and she fixed all those words. So instead of her meeting at federal court, she met at her last name. Just say her last name is Smith. So the Smith court
met at Queens Bench. So what happened was the court clerk says, no, it's not the Smith court, it's family court, and you're going to meet in Queens Bench. So the court clerk actually circled and crossed out all the things that this lady, well, what I wrote. She crossed out all the stuff and wrote the proper words that they recognize that get jurisdiction and control over that lady's paperwork. And I told that lady, no, don't accept any of these modifications to your paperwork. But thank God, some court clerk lady was trying to be nice, but she didn't realize that she just gave us proof, beyond a shadow of a doubt proof, that these words mean something to these people. If they wouldn't, she wouldn't have spent the whole day taking a red marker, crossing out these words, and writing the proper words.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Right, so thank God that they actually sent me a copy of the revised version of my paperwork through the court clerk of Queens Bench Eyes. But I told them they actually accepted the paperwork for a minute, and then I told them to go back and leave it the way I wrote it. And then they left it the way I wrote it. That was on a Thursday. Monday they went to court, they kicked their ass, and they worked out a deal again back to the kids on Tuesday. But if she changed all the paperwork, then they would have had total control over them and the kids, and it would have been a holy disaster for that family. But yeah, I hope that helped with federal,
Yeah, it did. So if this paperwork that I'm looking at, is it still being supported by your moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. The only thing I got to do now, the only thing I would want to do now is I want to actually see what the actual case file looks like. I'm going to ask them for the authenticated,
certified
complete copy of the case file to date. So if they try to send me any stuff that is stylized as the United States District Court, I'm just going to send it back to them and say, hey, how did this get into my case file? This court, I'm not addressing this court. I did not move my claim into this court. Why is this court trespassing into my case? Why are they doing it? So Can you please, that's basically that simple. I'm going to wait for an answer from them. Saying what gives the United States District Court the right to enter into a district court. I'd like to know how you believe that you have why you're submitting any paperwork into my case. This is my case.
Yeah.
If you want to make a case against me, make your own case against me. Get your own case number. Get your own case file.
Yeah.
But all he's basically saying is like, look, is this or is this not a public courthouse? Yes. Is this where people from two different states can meet? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so is there a reason why you won't allow me to seat a jury and let the jury hear my claim? Is there a reason why you deny me access to this public building? They better have a damn good reason. And that's how simple it's going to be from here on. But like I say to folks,
did someone also write a letter to a magistrate or something with that intent?
No, I'm going to write. His name is William Capel. And it's so funny. Even the U.S. Marshals asked me that back in January. He said, why do you keep calling him William or Mr. Capel? He says he's a magistrate or he's a judge. I said, he's not my magistrate. He's not my judge. He said he was assigned as a magistrate by the United States District Court. I didn't assign him as my magistrate.
Yeah.
If he wants, I asked him would he like to be the magistrate of the Lentz Court, and he never responded. So I presume he does not want to be the magistrate of the Lentz Court. He wants to be the magistrate of the United States District Court. Now, I have no affiliation with the United States District Court. I did not submit my paperwork to them, so I'm not under the control or authority of the United States District Court.
Right.
So, see, the federal marshals were able to keep up with me. They said, oh, my God, this is so simple, it's scary. I said, yeah, I know. I said, I'm in no hurry. I said, because look at this. Let us make it this simple. If they, like I said, they offered me a settlement like 3 years ago now. If I took the $1 million, you guys would have never heard me. I would have never continued. I would have never done nothing. I would have taken my money and been with my kids, and you guys would have never heard of me.
Yeah, that's a lot of cats.
Yes, exactly. A lot of cash, a lot of cats, a lot of, you would never heard of me. But for some reason, I just said, no, man, there's got to be some more to this. There's got to be a reason why I'm going through all this. The money's not that important. If you look at my first 2 lawsuits, I didn't even have a dollar amount in there. That notice and the 3-time stuff will never work. You're wasting your time.
Don't ever do that. It's a waste of time. The lawyer is telling you the truth. No, it's not going to help your case. It means absolutely nothing. He's telling you the truth. It's a waste of time. You're not operating under the UCC here. You're not operating under any universal postal code. You're wasting your time. You made a claim for your property. You're done. You want the restoration of property? It's over. 2 sentences. I'm done. No notices. Don't try to convince anybody to do a notice because they're wasting their effing time. They want their kids and they want them now. I mean now. I mean today. I mean now.
Yeah, no.
I'm not writing 3 notices. I'm not doing shit. When it comes to my property, you're going to restore it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Or else.
Well, that was the intent of the notice, is to let them know that.
Yeah. Well, if my child is. No, you're going to give me my child. You're going to give me now. I'm not going to write a notice for my child. I'm going to tell you, give me my property and give it now. It's like giving me my heartbeat. How long could you live without your heartbeat? What I'm trying to say, when it comes to children, you don't wait a day. You don't wait 2 days.
Right.
It's my heartbeat. I'm reporting a crime. My property was robbed from me. I want the restoration of my property now. I'm reporting a crime. Those judges will snap up so fast and they will restore your property now. That's all the police department does. That's all any agency in this government is supposed to do, is secure and protect property, private property. That's all the reason why government exists, is to protect and secure private property. There is no other reason for them to exist on this planet. You tell them, my private property has been robbed or stolen from me. Their only function is to fucking make the restoration of the property to that private person. That's it. You don't get really quick notices and wait a week or 2. You're wasting your time. I'm trying to get people back their kids immedately.
Well, there was a process of time, but the thing was, when I had asked you about, how do we do this? Do we say it in court? And you said, no, you first
you should
write it. You should write a notice.
You have to write it because you are the court. You don't wait for their court to convene. You create your court now on writing in paper, and you put it before the clerk, and there you go. Your court is created.
Well, as far as
as soon as you get the stamp from the court clerk, that's the whole world has noticed now that your court exists.
Yeah, but we didn't even have. We had the claim written up, ready to put in the court of record, but we didn't even need to do that because they the whole thing over.
Nope. Like I said, look at what I did for Jesse and Jonathan. It was like 2-sentence claim. I didn't say anything about a court of record. I didn't say anything about common law. I didn't give him a notice. I mean, a 2-sentence claim.
But I'm just telling you what we did. I'm just telling you what we did and how it works out to our favor.
Oh yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
But we didn't even know what we were doing.
Yeah, nobody does.
Yeah, but we believed that something had to work, and we were that desperate, so we tried it, and it came out.
Look what happened. Look what happened with Jesse and Jonathan when they went on trial before the Crown. Jonathan spoke a whole bunch of stuff when it was his turn to take the witness stand.
Well, you don't have to be so polite, Carl. I spoke a bunch of garbage.
Well, what I'm saying, and Jesse just pointed across the room and said I was robbed of my property by that woman over there, and I want the restoration of my property immediately. There you go. She was done.
Yep.
So instead of going on this big diatribe and rhetoric about living, breathing souls and all this other stuff in Yahweh, who cares? Just say, point across the room like your great-great-grandpappy would have said in an old western town and said, I've been robbed of my their property by that varmint over there. And there you go, and I'm done. And now the posse's going to round up that guy, and he's going to restore your property.
Well, yeah, when they brought that letter up, and the prosecutor was there standing and wanted to enter it as an affidavit, the judge said, looked at Norma and said, "Well, were you really going to do this?" She said, "Yeah, I'm going to do that."
There you go.
Because they stole my property, and they said, "You really think that's property?" Yeah, because it is from me. That's my property. And
that's
you're married, and you have your property. Your wife is your property, and my property. It came from me.
Because when you first started telling the story, I was a little disappointed that she didn't have the balls big enough to just say, you know what, F your lawyer, F them, F all this shit. I just want my property. I want it now. Yeah. But I mean,
that's all she had to say. That's all she had to say when she said it. That's when everything turned around.
Right. That she was going to stand up. She was going to hold her court. She was going to have standing. That she was willing to stand and say, "I will carry this out."
Yep. Well, I'm glad that worked out for you guys. I was really wondering what happened to you guys, and I'm glad that worked out. So there you go, Karl. Yeah, you affected another beautiful life out there and got them back to their family.
So you want to expunge the record. What you have to do is you have to jump through all these hoops, and then you have to go back to the original judge and say, "Look, I jumped through all these hoops. Please expunge the record. Clear up my good name." And the judge would say, "No, I don't care that you are in compliance with every single code requirement to meet this expungement. You know what? I was the one who presided over the case. No, you're still guilty. Even though the state says you got to do all this, and yes, you met all these conditions. You know what? Once you're the judge over somebody, you got jurisdiction and control. Once you're somebody's daddy, you're always their daddy." So that's why I laugh at people when I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to take my case to the United States Supreme Court, and I'm going to get a ruling." No, you're going to get an opinion, and then you're going to go back to the court of original jurisdiction, and you're going to say, "Look, Daddy, I even pulled something out from the United States Supreme Court." And they said, "Daddy, you're wrong." And the court of original jurisdiction, the district court judge is just going to laugh at you. It's like, yeah, I don't give a rat's ass what they said up there in Washington. You're back here in my district. Boy, you're in my jurisdiction, cynic. And this is how we play it here. I don't care how they play it up in Washington. So that's what I say to folks. Read a lot of the United States Supreme Court opinions. Just like the case is referred back to the court of original jurisdiction. So you start all over again. So I hope you enjoyed your 10 years of protesting your judge making your ruling against you because I got a tremendous victory by the United States Supreme Court. Yeah, great. What'd they tell you to do? Take it back to the court of original jurisdiction. So what does that mean? The judge made a ruling in September 9th, 2001. Well, this is September 10th, 2001. Well, it's 12 years later. That's right. Well, it did. As far as the judge is concerned, only one day went by. See, so that's what I'm saying. It's like I say, Google John Wilkinson Jr. He's in charge of the Alabama Supreme Court, the civil division down there. And he told me, he said, "You're wasting your time getting appeals heard, getting Supreme Courts to hear your rulings." He said, "It's ridiculous." He said, "They're just going to shut it back down." The original judge. And the original judge will tell you go F off, and then you got to start the process all over again and say, Supreme Court of Alabama, wait for years to go through that nonsense and say, "Hey, can you force the judge to do the right thing?" And then, yeah, maybe then they'd do it. He said, "But how many years do you want to do this?" He said, "You want to do it 10, 12, 14, 16 years? How many years do you want to do this?" Because the one judge, I forgot what his name was, Myron Thompson. It's funny, you could go to, that's a good question to ask me, because you go to Judgeopedia or Judgepedia.org or Judgepedia.com, and you could actually find the judge that runs your case, and you could find other people's opinions of that judge. And it's so funny, when I Judgeopedia'd Myron Thompson, you can Judgeopedia Myron Thompson, and you'll see where it says that he,
Judgepedia.org.
Yeah, he took such a long time. He took such a long time to just make a simple ruling on can this evidence be admitted into the trial. It took him over 10 years to come up with an opinion. Can one little tiny piece of evidence be accepted at trial? 10 years. So the whole hearing, the whole trial was put on hold until Myron decided to come up with a ruling. That guy has been overturned so many times. I think he's the number one judge. I think that's why they said he's so gun shy about making a ruling. It's because he's been overturned so many times by the Court of Appeals in Atlanta, it used to be the Fifth Circuit, now it's the 11th. That he's gun shy. He's afraid to make a ruling because he knows somebody's going to challenge him, overturn him. So he refuses to basically do anything. So he figures it's better to do nothing than to get overturned again and make himself look stupid. So, yeah, but like I said, can you imagine waiting 10 years for a judge to make a ruling on evidence, whether or not, and so the lawyer, I forgot what case it was, but you'll find it in Judgeopedia, the lawyer said, if you're waiting for this guy to come up with a decision for you, you're crazy, because the code had changed so much. In 10 years, we had to start the whole case from scratch.
Wow.
Yep, so because like I said, the code is supposed to change every 7 years. So he said all the rules, everything changed. He said we had to take all our filing and start all over. So like I said, folks, man, that's why, and the way a true court of record works, they have 21 days to answer. They refuse to answer on day 22. You can tell the court clerk, well, I'm going to need a room, and it won't take too long because we're going to need the sheriff or we need the marshals to drag the wrongdoer into the court so he can speak now, forever hold his peace. For some reason, he didn't feel like speaking for the last 21 days. Maybe him being hauled into court will loosen his vocal cords. But if not, at least he can't get a void judgment on me in 10, 20, 30 years from now, come up with some lame excuse why he couldn't answer in 21 days that his mama got sick or he was in a coma or he's in a shipwreck. Nope. Sheriff went out, dragged him before the court, said, now, are you going to answer this, man? Yes or no? This is your last chance because this is going to be the final judgment. Because once that's done, then they can't say, well, because summary judgment could be overturned immediately. The other side just has to come up with a damn good excuse why I wasn't in court that day. He'll say, oh, well, my mama was sick. I got a bump on my head. Oh, the mailman forgot to mail it. Oh, I wasn't properly served. Oh, the dog ate it. A million reasons why you couldn't show up that day. And they got to forgive and forget, and they got to let you take another crack at it. So who wants to deal with these? Let them take one more crack at you. Or let them get out of not paying you one more time. It's like, oh, no, I'm done with this. You won't pay me. You won't pay me now. You got 22 days. 21 days to answer, and then the 22nd day, we are going to haul your ass before the court, and you will answer. Or you will shut the hell up, and you'll just take the ruling of the court. But it's done. I'm not waiting 10 years if the judge is going to examine one piece of evidence. It's like, that's ridiculous. And then start it all over again. And you can't force the judge to do anything. You can't. You're stuck. You gave him control. Once you enter your paperwork document in somebody else's control, into somebody else's court, you're bound by his decisions, his rules, and his lengthy delays. But as far as he's concerned, he couldn't care less. He's going to say, well, we got to make this fair and justice. And so, you don't want me to go make a rash decision, do you? My style is I just look around like I'm bored out of my mind. It's like, sir, can I help you? Oh, you talking to me? Yeah, I asked you a question. Oh, what'd you ask, Bob? Oh, you could refer to me as judge. No, I refer to God as my judge. Well, how can I help you, Bob? Oh, no, you had to refer to me as judge. Well, is your mama called you judge? Are you trying to say you're going to judge me? You mean I'm supposed to call you a verb?
Yeah.
You want me to call you a verb? Or you want me to call you adjective? What do you want me to call you? You're going to judge me? Is that what you're going to do? Is that what you believe? You believe you're my judge. Is that what you're going to do? There's going to be judging going on here? Is that what it is? And you're going to judge me? You're going to judge another man? Really? You see what I'm saying? So I don't even play that game with them. Everything I do is in writing. There's no reason to do anything else. There's no reason to utter any words in court. So these poor people who call me up all the time say, well, the judge is going to say this, the judge is going to say that. What, God's going to speak to me?
Well, yeah, the judge is going to say this, the judge is going to say that, right.
Judge who? Is God speaking? That's my judge. Are you the voice of God? That's all I want to hear.
Yeah, what are you, a fucking mind reader?
Is that all I want to hear?
They know what the judge is going to say.
What judge? God? See, you keep calling these guys in black robe judges. I call them men in black robes. They ain't no better than me. They ain't no worse than me. They're a guy in a black robe. They're not my judge. They're a man in a black robe. Just whatever he wore an orange robe one day. Whatever he wore a purple robe. Whatever he wore a white robe. I don't care. He's just another man wearing a robe. So what? He likes to walk around in a robe. Fine. God bless him. I don't have to answer to any other man. Did I do you wrong, sir? No. Then what are you hoping to ask me again? What do you require of me? Well, I don't require anything of you. Well, then it's...
No, they want to challenge... No, they want to challenge them. They want to say, where's your oath of office? Oh, you're...
Hey, who cares? Who cares? None of that stuff matters.
I put a response in before that saying that I wrote it in handwriting right in front of the court clerk that I require an injury to a party and or property, and I will compensate anyone that I have harmed.
Okay, and who did you send that to?
I gave it to the court clerk right there. You stamped it and gave it back.
Okay, who is she? Is not the plaintiff.
who was the one who was defined themselves as the plaintiff in that case?
Well, it says, it doesn't say in the letter. Above it says the state of Texas versus me.
There you go. You send it to the secretary. You address it to the governor. You send a copy to the governor, the Secretary of State, and says, "Hey, I believe that you folks are making a claim that I've caused harm. Da 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 da. Are you going to bring the state of Texas to court so I could cross-examine my accuser?"
Wait, who do I send it to? The Attorney General?
No, you send it. No, I would send it to the Secretary of State and to the governor's office because they are technically the head of the Republic of Texas, whatever you guys call it. State of Texas, Republic of Texas. I don't know what you guys call it. So down there, you guys a state or republic?
It's a state of Texas, is what they call it.
Okay, well there you go. Well then you send it to whoever is the person who is supposed to be in charge of the state of Texas. Just like if Coca-Cola, was suing me, what would I do? Send it to the bottle capper? No. Would I send it to a branch manager? No. I'd send it to the president of Coca-Cola.
So that's what I need to do. I need to ask the court clerk who is the state of Texas that I can settle this matter with.
Who's the plaintiff? I'd like to know who the plaintiff is, and you have a mailing address for the plaintiff, so I can answer him properly.
All right. Oh, great. Okay.
So because she has to have the address of the plaintiff on file. She has to because she has to also send him a letter or her a letter saying that, okay, you know what, we also need your body to be here on for a pre-hearing day.
And if they don't give you a specific name every time you ask?
No, they did give you a specific name. What if they said Texas? How do you know? How do you know there's not some guy named Texas?
Oh, okay.
I heard a lot of other crazier names than Texas. So I want to see Mr. or Mrs. Texas appear in court.
Dear state of Texas.
No, whoever it is, right? If you let the court clerk tell you instead of you guessing what it is, you tell her. You know what? I don't honestly know who I've done wrong here. Who's the plaintiff in this case? I know I'm the defendant. Who's the plaintiff? And say, well, that's the plaintiff. Do you have the plaintiff's mailing address so I could send them a proposal to settle this matter, before going to open court? She'll say, well, it's in the back of the ticket. Can you please write it down to me, the person you're going to send this to, the agency you're going to send this to, the post office box, or the mailing address that you're going to send this letter to. Like, I got this letter to appear. Obviously, you sent the letter to the other side to appear. The same exact letter, except instead of circling defendant, you circle plaintiff. Where did you send this letter to? Because I can't figure who I did wrong. Because I want to compensate them. I want to settle this before we go to open court. Can you please go directly to whoever you sent this letter to?
But the letter is addressed to a defendant. Why do you want to settle it?
Because the plaintiff will never appear. You can call me a unicorn, lumpy conchon. So you guys are so into this name game crap. I couldn't care less what you call me. Sticks and stones don't hurt my bones, buddy. I don't care. Call me anything you want. They got you guys so hung up on uppercase, lowercase, titles, birth certificates, defendant, I don't care. Call me anything you want. I don't care. The plaintiff must appear.
Because they're calling you. You're not accepting it. You're just...
They who? Nobody's calling you. You believe you see the word defendant on there. You believe that's the word defendant. They're not telling you what the word defendant is. You went to public school. You put on the big boy pants. You put on a big brain hat. You got the big brain cap going on. And you're the one who thinks you know what the word defendant means. You make them define it.
Right.
Well, like he's calling me a lucky charm unicorn. What if somebody handed me something that was a chicken tap dance all across it? I don't give a rat's ass. It's like, ma'am, did you send a letter like this to the other side? Yeah. Can you tell me who you sent it to? Because I can't make heads or tails out what this is saying. Can I try to work something out with the other side before we come to open court? Because honestly, I don't have a clue about anything that's written on here.
Then why are you here? If it has nothing to do with you?
Because I thought some letter came here and it's all gobbledygook, and the only thing I really have a pretty good idea, it says the address, and it says the address is here, and I kind of got the idea of what a date is. But all this other stuff in between, honestly, ma'am, I need the other side to define what the hell's going on. I really don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if I've done anybody wrong. I'd like to know who the other person is so I can make restitution, compensate them for any wrong, harm, injury, or damages.
So I'm totally confused. I found this, and I want to make sure that I take care of anything that I did wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Obviously, I got my checkbook, I got my pen, I just filled it out, my paper's nice and warm, I'm good to go.
Right.
Got a fresh new checkbook, and man, it smells when it came off the presses, nice and warm. I want to start writing out paper, man. I want to start selling my debt. And they go, no, my property was seized. I was like, okay, that's great. That means that you had all your lawful remedies, you had all the lawful ways to try to remedy it. You had all kinds of procedures. You had your trial by jury. The jury rendered the verdict, or you had a guy in a black robe make a ruling on your behalf or against you, whatever. Great. Lovely. Seized is a beautiful word. Seized means that you afforded like all your rights, so everybody screams up, well, no, they seized it. Oh, good. That's great. I'm glad they seized it, because that means that based upon some sort of legal procedure or lawful procedure, they did it according to the law. So you guys got to be careful, because this is one of these ugly words that you hear on TV movies, or you hear on, you were trained when you were a kid in school, like, scream up and down and cries, it was seized. Seized is a nice word. Seized isn't a word that you guys are thinking, but stole, robbed, take, he did a take and carrying off, or he did a, he did an asportation, and that kind of stuff. Those are bad words, but seizure is a good word. That's what it is. It's called a caption and asportation. That's a good one. It's caption, like CAPTION, and asportation. That means they picked it up, captured it, and carried it off, and they absorbed it. They made it part of them. So it's called a caption and asportation. I actually used to write lawsuits like that. I used to actually use the word caption and asportation. It's kind of funny. Whipped out the old Roget's thesaurus, and I thought I was going to get the big boy gold star thing on my paper by saying they did a caption and asportation. So that goes absolutely nowhere. I just point my finger across the courtroom now, and they said they robbed me of property and demand the immediate return. Or I require for court to, of its immediate return or the restoration of property. Something simple. You're taking a man to court. You're not taking IRS to court, because IRS is not a man. You could say you want that's why it's better to let the IRS take you to court. And it's funny, when the IRS takes you to court, the IRS doesn't take you to court, because they're just a contractor for the Treasury Department. So you haven't done anything to IRS wrong. The IRS just says to the United States of American government, they just say, hey, you know what, United States of America, you have a citizen, a member of your family, you got a little junior over here saying that he don't want to pay Daddy what Daddy wants him to pay. And they say, one of our citizens, one of a member of our family, Junior doesn't want to pay? No, Junior doesn't want to pay. Who is it? Well, let me look up his Social Security number and find out for you. Oh, it's this guy, Bob Smith. Oh, Bob Smith don't want to pay Daddy? No, Bob Smith don't want to pay Daddy. Okay, that's fine. And then Bob Smith gets invited into federal tax court by the United States of America. I've never seen anything from the IRS. It's like, IRS took me to court. Can somebody send me one damn, anything, the summons to appear in the United States court, or United States tax court, United States district court, where IRS is the plaintiff? No. She keeps saying, the IRS took me to court. No, they didn't. It's the United States of America. So they say, the IRS. Where on that damn paper do you see IRS? Every person's paper, like this guy, Greg Stottsville in Indiana, he kept saying the IRS is doing this, the IRS. Dude, the only thing I see on this court, all this indictment against you, is the United States of America. I don't see the word Internal Revenue Service anywhere in this inch-thick indictment. Where's the word IRS? I don't see it. So why do you guys keep saying the IRS is doing this to you? It's the United States of America is the plaintiff. So if somebody could send me something where it says IRS is the plaintiff and you're the defendant, let me know. Because I don't have a freaking clue what you guys are talking about. I've never seen where the IRS was the plaintiff. So I don't know what you guys are thinking. It's like when I look at a piece of paper, I take it literal. It says United States of America versus Greg Stottsville. He says, well, the IRS is coming after me. Really? And this piece of paper says United States of America. I don't see anything about the IRS.
Well, the IRS investigator, she said this. I said, yeah, great, she said this, but how come the IRS isn't coming after you? Oh, yes, they are. Really? On here it says the United States of America is the plaintiff, and it says right here, Greg Stancho, defendant. What are you talking about? You don't diminish it by using any ridiculous adjectives, so you folks have got to stop doing that a billion times. I tell you guys a billion times, you guys are going to keep doing it. You think it sounds more impressive when you say private property than property. So for some reason, it's redundant. You can't, property means it's exclusive to you, and nobody else within the society is allowed to tell you what you can and cannot do with your property. Nobody has a right to tell you what to do and or how to enjoy it. So why do you have to put the word private in front of it? That doesn't make any sense. Because to me, if it's public property, well then that sounds retarded. How could it be public property? To me, it has to be public. It would be like a public asset or a public domain or something tangible. But property is a standalone word. You can't mix it with public. It's like what those folks say, like sovereign citizen. You can't mix them. Public property, that's retarded. Well, it's not. It's going. Well, retarded means you're going backwards. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to say public property? How could it be public and property at the same time? That's. Hey, let's put it this way: it's asinine. I'm not going to say retarded. It's just asinine. Makes absolutely no sense. It's like that old George Carlin routine, like military intelligence. How could it have word military and word intelligence attached to it at the same time? That's kind of like an oxymoron. How could that possibly be? Well, that's the same thing with public property and private property. There's no such. All it is it's property. Period. Private, that's ridiculous. It's just property. Public. How could it be public and exclusive to one man alone? That doesn't make any sense. So, like I said, it's just the way they trick folks to say, well, that's public property and this is private property. No, because that wouldn't make any sense at all. Private property, you're basically saying the same thing twice. That, hey, whoa, that's private. And then, whoa, that's property. It's basically the same word. Basically means the same thing. So it's like saying good, gooda. It's like that to me. To me, when I hear private property, it just sounds like somebody saying to me, oh, that's good, gooda. Oh, that's better, gooda. It's like, what? Better, good, what? Better, good, that doesn't make any sense. Good and gooda. On private property, that sounds like that. Once you, like I said, it's, the people who listen to me enough times, they start catching on to what I'm saying. And they start picking up what I see. What I see just means what I understand. And that's exactly what see means. That's not what I visualize. It's what I see. So when I ask folks, hey, do you hear what can you see what I'm saying? To see means to understand. To see, this has nothing to do with visual. A blind man can see. There's nothing to do. I'm not being cute. I'm not saying a blind man can see better than most people with sight. See means to understand. See doesn't mean what you folks are thinking, like, oh, that means some sort of visual skill. No, it doesn't. So like I said, you guys are just getting confused by a really sloppy English grammar, an upbringing or definition of the words that they're just saying, oh, just let them use it. It's close enough. It's like, no, it's not close enough. When you go to court, it better be spot on, because if you ain't spot on, they're going to run you over like a freight train. It's just like if like I said, if you're talking to somebody and you're talking to a child and the child gets the word wrong, everybody just laughs at them. It's like, what's so funny, Dad? I say, I'll explain to you something. You don't say that. What? You don't say that. I'll explain to you when we get home. Well, that's what's happening when you go to court. If you say that's private property, somebody like me will just laugh at you. A judge will just laugh at you. It's like, oh, yeah, private property. Oh, I see. No government ever created a baby, so they can't possibly say they have a vested interest in it. That's ridiculous. They weren't in bed with you, They can't make a claim.
Wow.
It's
I've never been violated before, so violated ever before in my life. Do you teach the UCC process or no? I know you're making it very simple, and I'm astounded. But do you suggest the UCC process when you claim your property, or?
That's ridiculous. Because that's somebody else's beliefs you're using, not yours. You believe that's your property. You have no idea what the UCC says because you did not create it. See, I could definitely tell you never listen to my show because, like I say to folks, you can't interpret somebody else's words. You have to make your words your own. So when the judge sees your words, he knows those are your words and your words alone. If you use UCC or anything, he's going to say, oh, you're using somebody else's beliefs. That's not what you believe. That's what somebody else believes. Somebody else believes this. No, the judge wants to hear what you believe. Not what Mr. UCC, who wrote UCC 50 years ago, has to say. He doesn't give a, well, honestly, he'd actually rather have you speak UCC. That way he can interpret it because he's got a license to interpret it. You don't have a license to interpret it. You don't even have a license to write it down, to write UCC. It's like theft of intellectual property. It's like using Microsoft software to create your own documents. You can't use UCC. You have no permission to use their stuff. So who do you think you are to use UCC stuff? Are you a licensed UCC decipher coded specialist? No. So that's ridiculous to use somebody else's beliefs.
Okay. So
you gotta tell what you believe. You just I believe you're holding my property. I believe the only reason why government exists is to secure and protect property. Thank you for holding my property. Now I require you to release my property back into my car. Have a nice day.
And it doesn't matter what kind of hearing it's going to be. It doesn't matter what kind of hearing I'm going for. Because you know how they try to block you with all their California rules of this and rules of court and that?
Nope, because you have nothing to do with Cal. You didn't write the rules. They didn't write the rules. They're just interpreting the rules. They can't swear to any of those things are true. If they say, well, according to California, let's just make this just for shits and giggles. Let's say some attorney wise guy on the other side says, well, according to California rules, just like you said, 1, 2, 3, Section 5 comes and says, well, according to California rules, civil rules, family rules, 1, 2, 3, Section 5. It's like, oh yeah. You want to take the witness stand and swear to that's what that code means? He'll be like, well, no. Well, then that's just your opinion what you think that code means. Did you write that code? No. Do you have the man here who wrote the code? No. Do you have the public law? Because the code was written out of a public law. Do you have the public law before the court? He's like, well, no, it's rolled up in Sacramento somewhere. It's like, okay, so you don't have the public law where the code came from. You don't have the guy who wrote the code. And you won't swear that this is exactly what the code means. You're just giving your opinion of what the code means. So isn't this just lovely? You have an opinion. Isn't that lovely?
I was going to demand I think I might get his oath. He's not a real judge.
No, you don't. None of them are real judges in family court. They're hearing administrating officers. It's a contract. Did you sign some sort of a contract with the state like called a safety plan?
Yeah, but then I rescinded it. I wrote on it, I do not agree because they were using threat, duress, and coercion, right? So I wrote down that I do not agree, and then I rescinded the contract, and then I filed that, the rescission.
Yeah, you made a notice of rescission, right?
Yeah. That's
great. Now, where is that thing? Where did you file it?
Oh, I filed it a long time ago. I have it.
So since you filed it a long time ago, did you move on it?
Did I move with it?
On it. Did you say, okay, here's my notice, and did you follow it up with a second notice just in case they didn't get the first one?
No.
That's what you're supposed to do, just in case the mailman exploded somewhere and you got no proof that it was delivered to anybody. You always have to, nobody answered you yet, you're saying.
Okay.
Nobody answered it. So like I said, if you want to send me that rescission thing, that's lovely. You could send me one because I just wrote one for somebody about 2-3 weeks ago. So if you want to send me your notice of rescission, that's just lovely. And I'll take a look at it, and I'll probably just laugh and say, look, ma'am, all you got to do is this. You're writing way too much.
Oh, my God. This is crazy. I give thanks. I really had no idea that it was this easy.
Yeah, it's beyond simple, man.
Yeah.
And that's the whole problem. Yeah, it's the whole problem.
Yeah,
they don't make any money if it's simple, ma'am. They try to make you guys think it's complicated so they could charge you all kinds of money. Believe me, and my wife went through 17 attorneys. She bought 8, I bought 9.
Oh my God.
It cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why I said, you know what, I'm getting nowhere spending money till it's coming out, and this is ridiculous, and I'm going to learn more. I'm going to figure this out. And I figured it out. And nobody else has to spend any of that kind of ridiculous money anymore. Just make your claim for your property to be restored, and you're done.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to sit here and have to write for your flesh and blood. That's just ridiculous. It's just, late slavery.
It's your property.
To have
but like
to write for your flesh and blood. It's just ridiculous.
Right, but that's what happens is a lot of times these folks, it's called the Communist Manifesto, and it says that the state owns all the property. So that's what they're trying to do in this country. They're trying to say the state owns all the property. So you do it by getting into contracts, which you did because you signed a safety plan which bound you to the state. But like I said, you said to the state that you will let the state come in your house and inspect your kids and do also the nonsense.
They really had me thinking that it was because I was looking into a housing program. And that's why they had me thinking it was really for housing. Yep. And it really was more they were just investigating me. I couldn't believe that they were really investigating me because I was seeing myself as a great mother. I don't have a drug problem. I don't have, any other problems abusing my child. I just raise my son unconventionally, and I don't inoculate him, and I don't give him drugs.
But that happened back in 1997 with Bill Clinton actually did that in Congress. What they did is anybody who was on welfare, they let them live on welfare for 23 months, and on the 24th month, they took their kids instantly, whether you're the world's greatest mom or not, because you only had 23 months. You had 2 years to get back on your feet. And if you couldn't get back on your feet, they automatically took the kid on the 23rd month. So stuff like that was happening like crazy. So a lot of women who were just welfare moms and living in Section 8 housing, they thought they were great. Like, hey, I'm taking care of the kid. I got welfare. I got food. I got everything for this freaking kid. Everything's nice and, quiet here. Boom, 23 months after collecting the first check, they come knocking on the door. And they say, hey, you have a job? No. Why not? Well, your benefit's going to run out in 30 days, so we're going to take the kids, and you can come and make a claim for the kid once you show us that you have a job. And boom. And then the kids are gone. I've seen hundreds of women, they do that too, on welfare. Any kind of Section 8 housing women, they do that too. They give you guys a couple of months to get on your feet, boom, and then they come and take the kid.
Wow.
It's not like it used to be. It used to be you could stay on welfare until the kid hit 18. Not anymore. You got 2 years. Well, you got 23 months to collect the check. And then after that, boom, they scoop up your kid. I don't care if you're the world's greatest mom. They did that in 1997. It was the HIPAA law. They did that back in 1997. They passed it with the HIPAA law. Yeah, everybody thought it was a wonderful thing, protecting women and children. Yeah, right. And then all the women realized what happened on the 23rd month. The government was coming in and swooping and taking all the kids.
Yeah, and so many children are getting molested in foster homes.
Oh, yeah, all of that stuff. That's just part of it. That's right. But like I said, the big thing is that you sign the contract, you ask the state for benefits or help, and the next thing you know, they bite you in the ass. I know. I heard it all, man. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. I'm 50 years old. I might not sound 50, I hope, but I've seen it all. I've seen all the women in Birmingham, Alabama, all crying who are on welfare, thinking that they want to stay on welfare until the kid was 18. And little did they know, the law changed in 1997. They could only get 2 years of benefits, and then the state takes their kids.
Whoa, that is deep. And so, this is in Alabama.
Yep, well, no, that's a federal. It's a federal law.
It's a federal law?
Yep. You got 2 years. Anytime you women have a baby, you got 23 months to get a house, to get a husband, to get something going on, because at the 23rd month, they're going to come knock on your Section 8 housing door, and they're going to take your kid. And then you got to jump through all the hoops to try to get your kid back. You got to have a good job. You have to have a car. You have to have a 2-bedroom apartment, one for you, one for the kid. Oh, it's ridiculous. And then once you get all that stuff, then you could reapply for welfare. And then you got another 23 months.
Do you think I should demand the judge's oath of office or bring it to the court, his oath of office?
Nope.
Do you think and bind him to the Constitution?
Nope, because you didn't write the Constitution. Nope. Are you going to bring James Madison or Thomas Jefferson, or are you going to bring Alexander Hamilton to the court? No. Then how do you know what the Constitution reads? You're just guessing. Are you going to be able to bring the person who the Constitution is a contract that binds the state to the federal government, the United States government to the state governments? It has nothing to do with you. You're a man. You're a woman. You're not a state, and you're not the United States government. The Constitution has absolutely nothing to do with you. That's why when they wrote the Bill of Rights, half the people there are like, what do you mean Bill of Rights? Why do we have to write a Bill of Rights for? Bill of Rights has to do with man. We're just trying to set up the state governments and the federal and the United States government. We're not making any rules for man. Man has its own contracts going on. This is only a contract between the state governments and the United States federal governments. It has nothing to do with man. So why are you bringing up the Constitution unless you're a state or unless you're the United States government? The Constitution is a waste of time. Plus, you can't bring the guy who created the damn document and says, is that what that reads? Is that what you think it means? Well, did you write it? No. Well, then who wrote it? I don't know. He wrote it. Well, then is he here? No. Well, then your guess is as good as mine of what the hell it means. What the hell do I know? I wasn't there. Maybe it's a typo. I don't have a clue. No, the Constitution is all a waste of time, man. All that silly stuff is all a waste of time. It's just stuff to just make you guys waste your time and chase your tails around in circles. It's just a total waste of time. The government only exists to secure and protect the rights of man. That's all they do, secure and protect property. Well, rights is a subset of property. All your rights are your property. That's all your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, your goals, your child, that's all your property. And rights are one of your properties. But property is the huge word, not rights, property. Rights are just a subset to what you can call property. This is one I did for family services, folks. I just wrote, I, a woman, Belinda Painter, claimed that there exists a contract, also known as a safety plan, between the parties of Belinda Painter and Harrisburg Social Services Department, see Exhibit A. You see how simple I made it? I, a woman, claimed that there exists. She believes that there is a contract. Okay? So what she's saying is like, yes, it's true. There is a contract between me and CPS, see Exhibit A. But then she says, I declare henceforth from this day, in October 2013, the world is to take notice that said contract, 1, provides no benefit to neither I nor my person and is a causal source of harm. 2, it lacks the capacity to compel performance from I or my person. And 3, it lacks the power to force I or my person to be bound to perform under any and all of its terms and conditions. And then the last paragraph was, herein let it be known that if there be any man or woman who wishes to make his or her claim known that said contract has capacity to bind I or my person, let them come forth now with a verifiable claim and deny said notice or forever hold their peace. There you go. There you go. That's the notice of rescission. Just that simple. All you're saying, yes, there is a contract between me and you. That's true. But at this time, at one time, I believe there was a benefit for entering into this agreement with you. But now, 1, I don't see any more benefit. 2, 2 is there is nobody on this planet Earth that can force or compel me to perform under this contract, and nobody can bind me to it. And that was number 3. That's it. If somebody believes they can bind me to it, let him make his presence known in court. If somebody believes I could be ordered to perform under it, let him come forth and make this claim. See, CPS ain't going to make a claim. The state attorney can't force you to compel anything from you. Not when you're a woman, not when you're a man. They can't. They can't do it. They're the public servant. You're the public. They can't force the master to serve them.
In an example, I came across with somebody where the council want to do, I don't know what the correct word is, but I call it repossess. But basically, the guy has a small farm, and the local council said they need, I don't know if you know what gypsies are and stuff, I don't know what the equivalent in America is. You have people that move around, and they live in kind of nomadic existence, Romany gypsies. and basically the council said that part of their plan and strategy was to get 3 sites across the county that these people could go to, and they identified his land as a possible site. And I thought, well, hang on, looking back at that and what you do, then does the state, can they repossess his property? Because it's his property. So who has any, nobody else has any rights over that. Is it the same for that then?
Are you talking about like migrant workers or like gypsies who just come and do the picking of the fruit and then move on?
No. They basically move. They move around and they annoy the council because they move on to nice areas or public areas. And what they want to do is, for a strategy as part of their framework, is that they pick 3 sites. So when these people move around, they can only go to these so-called licensed designated sites.
That's right. You guys got something called commons. You folks have something called common ground over there, commons.
Yeah, but
we don't.
Right. But this is not really common land. So I don't know. The council owns it, and they'll turn up in a car park somewhere, and they'll sit there for 2-3 weeks, and then they'll go, and then they'll turn up on somebody's private land for a few weeks until they get letters from the courts and stuff, and then they go. So basically, they're avoiding paying rent, but they just keep moving around, enjoying the view, basically.
What are they enjoying? They're enjoying the view?
Yeah, well, either way, they generally they move into kind of rural, kind of scenic green areas, and then they just live there for a while, help out and do some work or other probably negative things as well, some good, some bad, and then they move on. So they're always I compare them to like an older nomadic experience people.
But they do have that here in the States. The feds, like the federal parks, the federal land. I'm trying to remember when I did that. There were millions of us that did this out in Nevada. When Las Vegas turned into a boom town back in the early 1990s, there just wasn't any hotel rooms. There wasn't enough apartments for us. You know, we went there like locusts, and everybody wanted to help the city boom. So we all stayed out on federal land. And all the park rangers, the federal rangers would come around, and they'd just make sure that you weren't putting up an edifice that was anchored into the ground. They said as long as you can move it from point A, they said as long as you can move it 1 inch every 30 days, you could stay here for the rest of your life. But you have to be able to move it at least 1 inch. That's the law here in this land in the United States. Now, what it is over in England, what you guys call commons and common ground, and everybody has the right to enjoy it, even if it is private property like that. Technically, the land is the queen, is part of the crown. You own everything above the ground, but technically, in England, you can't own ground. You can own everything 1 millimeter above the ground, but technically, the ground is the people. The people in the land are the ground. You can't own people. It's slavery. You can't do it. So when you heard that old King Arthur movie, you hear King Arthur, you hear Merlin say to King Arthur, "You and the land are one, King, Arthur." What does that mean? And that's what I say to you folks. What do you think it means? It doesn't mean that he's the dirt. It means him and the people come from the land. So they're all one. The king, the people, the land, the dirt, you're all one. That's where you came from. Whether you want to believe it or not, your mommy had to eat something from the ground. Your mommy had to eat from the dirt. Your mommy had to eat what came from the earth. Whether you like it or not, that's where you came from, and that's where you're going to return. Whether you want to believe it or not, you are of the land. Whether you want to believe it or not, you're not a Martian. You didn't fall off a moonbeam. You are part of the land. So for you to say I own land is like, I own people, because land and people one. Can you own people? Well, no. But can you own what you create on top of the land? Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
But can you own the land? No. So that all I'm trying to say, this is where that question you came from. This is what I believe that the belief is why they're allowed to do what they do. The people who thought of this 100, 200, 1,000 years ago, This is what what I'm just told you is what was in their mind. Who the hell is anybody to tell anybody what they can and cannot do with land? We're all of the land. I don't care if you're Donald Trump. I don't care if you're Donald Trump. I don't care if you're Clinton.
Property then.
You came from land. No property. No property is exclusive to a man or a woman. Property is not land. You can't use. It's not the same word. See, that's what you should tell people. When you talk to somebody like me, how you know it's not the same word? It's not spelt the same. There you go. It's usually that's silly and that's stupid. Is land and property the same? Let me see. I spelled one with an L and one with a P. No. Does it mean the same? No.
If it did, it would just be one word.
Because it would be the same effing word. So, like I said, I'm one of these people that, like I said, if you couldn't, what are they, like a Roger, the thesaurus, I'd be horrible at it. No, I say something, that's what it means, and it means nothing else. And that's what that word means, and that's what it means, and it doesn't mean anything else. So all this thesaurus nonsense, this Roger nonsense is nonsense, because it's just going to confuse the crap out of you. When you try to put this word for that word, when you go to court, you're going to look like a moron. It's like that's not what that word means. When you go to a court, the law is black and white. The law is deadly. You've always heard that. The law is black and white. There's no color in the law. Law is life or death. Legalese is, well, let's be reasonable. Let's be colorful about this. Let's use our imaginations here. Let's make believe that this could really be this and maybe that could really be that. No. It's either yes or no. That's all I want to hear. And that's law. Legalese is like, well, no, none of the lawyers, none of us could testify to anything being true. None of us want to take the witness stand. None of us want to be held liable. So let's be reasonable about this, and let's just play games, and let's just guess what it means. Like, look, dude, I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to guess effing anything. Yes and no. That's all I want to hear coming out of your mouth. Yes and no. And that's all I ever hear from lawyers. They say, well, let's be reasonable about this, Mr. Lentz. So like I said, I'm telling you, when you hear somebody from the government say to you, because you will hear this, especially when you try to cramming the law down their throat, they'll say, well, let's be reasonable about this, Mr. Bali. It's like, yeah, reasonable. Yeah, you're a lawyer. That's right. This guy Carl warned me about you. I'm telling you, man.
So for this friend of, he's a friend of a friend, because he's got land and it's not property, then how can it's not really possible to own land?
It's real estate.
When somebody orders you that they want that land back,
it's
this is
real
like
estate.
a nonsense conversation.
Right. It's not property. It would be like real estate. It would be an edifice. It would be a tangible asset. It would be a possession. It's not property. You can't get sloppy. Let me put it that way. You've been raised that you could be sloppy and get away with it. Because even Barack Obama said this at 8:18 a.m. He said it on October 17th. He said, let's work together to make the government work better instead of treating it like an enemy or making it worse, period. That's not what the founders of this nation envisioned when they gave us the gift of self-government, period. So even Barack Obama acknowledges that the greatest gift our great-great-great-grandfathers gave us was the right to self-govern. That was so fucking powerful. It's the first time in my lifetime, I've been on a planet Earth 50 times around the sun now, that I ever seen a president admit that, or his speechwriters admit it, that this is a nation of self-government. No democracy, no republic. This is self-government. The nation is the people. The nation is not the United States government. The nation is a group of people, not a group of state agents or federal agents or United States government agents. The nation means the people. The people are self-governing. They don't need the United States government. They don't need a state government. They are self-governing. This is the great experiment of the self-governing. That's what you are. Now, if you wish to be a citizen,
that would be sovereign?
No. Sovereign means that you could defy law, that you could create your own law, which means gravity does not exist on planet Earth. When you fall down, you actually float up if you wish, because a sovereign is not bound by any law, including gravity. including the law of time or death. You could take a bullet to your head and you're going to be fine. Why? Because you defy all laws. That's what God can do. God is the only true sovereign. There is no law that binds him. He can do whatever he wishes. At this point, in the third dimension, I can't. In the fourth dimension, when I go to sleep, oh yeah, sure, I could float. Oh sure, I could take a bullet in my head and keep coming after the bad guy. But that's not in the third dimension. In the fourth dimension, I'm a sovereign. You better believe it. I kick ass in the fourth dimension. All monsters better back off quick. I'm going to kick their ass. But in this dimension, no, I'm bound by law. Law of gravity, law of relativity, law of time, law of physics. I'm bound by all kinds of laws. I'm not sovereign. Not by a long shot. Not in this dimension. Not in the third dimension. But you see what I'm trying to say? The speechwriter finally admitted it. Finally. And right there, to me, is, hey, this government is wide open. This government is telling you folks the truth. This United States government is not bullshitting you. They are putting it right out there. Now, if you want to understand what the United States government is trying to tell the people that controls it, God bless you. If you don't, they put it right out there. They gave you full disclosure. Full disclosure. I mean, if that sentence wasn't beyond powerful, I said, oh, my God. I was listening to BBC or NPR, you know, one of those Fruit Loop liberal, you know, Joe Dandy, whatever, radio station, limberist radio stations, because I like to hear what the other side's got to say. Educational. Right. That's the thing. National broadcast, national educational.
Oh, NPR.
Right. Yeah, that's what we get up here in the mountains. We only get NPR.
Oh.
We get Sesame Street, and that's all we get. We get that kind of nonsense. But what's great, it lets me hear what the other side's got to say.
Right.
I'm telling you, at 8 o'clock in the morning, at 8:18 on October 17th, that man uttered it, and I heard it on an effing radio. And I was like, my God, full disclosure. He is telling you what is true. He is not bullshitting you. There is no Obamacare. There is no Social Security. There is no IRS. There is no. He told you. He told you. It came right out of his mouth. His speechwriters put it in front of a cue card, and he told you the truth. Now, if you people want to keep believing all this other crap, well, you go and do it. He flat out tells you, it's all on you, baby. It's all on you. Now, if you want to believe him, believe him. Because I was beating my head through a wall trying to convince you people that this is the land of the self-governing. But he's like, Carl's Looney Tune. Oh, Carl's all Fruity Loop Tubes. Oh, Carl's insane. Carl's crazy. This is a democracy. This is a republic democracy. Oh, this is a mafia, whatever. No, it ain't. It's the land of the self-governing. Yes, we are. That's the greatest gift our grandfathers killed and died for, that we have the right to go from point A to point B, and nobody can get in our way. It's that simple. There is nothing else. That's it. That's it. That's all your grandpappy told you. What were you doing? Playing Nintendo? Where were you when your grandpappy told you that? Well, I guess I was kind of busy smoking dope and driving my 57 Chevy. Yeah, well, maybe you should have listened to your grandpappy every now and then. He was trying to tell you. And that's all I'm trying to tell you, folks. You guys are just missing this. It's simple. I was taught very simply. My dad couldn't read or write English. There you go. That really helped me a lot. Because he wasn't bamboozled by a lot of bullshit. He just had to know what worked for him off the top of his head. He couldn't rely upon a book. He couldn't rely upon anything he read. He had to go out there and experiment and live his life and say, hey, dude, this is what I see out here in the streets. This is what works and this is what don't work. Thank God he was in a reform school almost his whole entire life. After his dad went back to Germany after World War II, he was left in the New York City streets. He was a tough little bastard. So thank God, man, that I got taught street smart from him. And my mom was a straight A high school student from Old Dominion in New York City, all business Catholic girls' school. And she finished at the top of her class. She won 6 out of 10 awards for her graduating class. And she was beautiful. She looks like freaking Elizabeth Taylor in a yearbook. She was gorgeous. She's got that blue eye. She's got the black hair. She was gorgeous. I got a good gene fucking pool I got from. But like I said, thank God I got a bookworm mom who worked for the IRS for 30 years, and I got a street punk dad who's a Navy guy. I mean, what a combination. So I got the street smarts from him, and I got the book from her, and I just was able to put the two together and said, hey, you know what? That's way too complicated what she's doing. And, hey, you know what? You don't got to keep it in the gutter. Let's get it out. And I'm just mixing the two together and said, here you go. Here's the combination of the two. Simplicity mixed with pure logic. There you go, folks. And I put it together.
You're talking about self-governance. You think it's still like that today?
Absolutely. All my paperwork is self-governing. Every time the judge reads it, they laugh their ass off. They go, yes, sir. Not a problem. And the prosecuting attorneys don't know what the fuck to do because I'm putting them right in their place. Are you trying to tell me, one of the self-governing, are you trying to govern me? I'm self-governing. Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to tell me what to do? If you are, I'll be glad to accept your order. But believe me, you're going to compensate me once I carry out your order. And I want money as a form of compensation. But I will carry out another man's order. But I'm not carrying out a public servant's order. No. I'm carrying out another man's order. You want to order me as a man? Man on man? You going to order me? Do it. I'll carry out your order. You're going to compensate me. Here's the bill. But if you think I'm going to kiss a public servant's ass and you don't think I'm self-governing and you think you're going to govern me, you're going to force me to be governed and directed and steered by your crazy beliefs and your crazy codes, and you think I'm going to worship under you? You think I'm going to petition you? Because that's what petition means. It means that you are inferior and you are praying or begging for mercy to a superior.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't petition shit. I petition God. You better believe I petition God a dozen times a day. But I'll never petition any man. I'd rather die. So just do what you're going to do, dude. Because if you don't, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it to you anyway. So you might as well do what you're going to do. But I only petition to God. And that's why I tell people, what's all the silly petition shit? You make a claim. You give your public servant notice, just like you give your maid or butler notice. I'm giving you notice, buddy. Ship up or shape out. You're going to shape it up. You're going to ship out one way or the other. I don't care. I'm giving you notice. I'm putting you on notice. Back off or do your damn job and leave me alone. I'll let you know when I need you. I don't require you at this time.
I got a parking ticket, real simple thing, and I wrote them saying I require leave of court to seek counsel for these matters.
Okay.
They sent back an unsigned letter setting a court date. You must appear, blah, 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 for a contested hearing. And I'm sort of stymied. I mean, it seems like it should be pretty simple. I've been listening to a lot of your calls, and I get the gist of most of what you do and the ideas behind it.
Did you just send back the you must appear? Did you say who requires I to appear?
No, I haven't said that yet. That's what I have.
There you go. You just say who is the man or woman who's requiring of I to appear?
How come you don't say me?
Because it's not me. Because it's not me and it's not you. Because believe me, the next letter you're going to send back is when they say you must appear. It's like maybe you did not get my first communication because I clearly said I to appear. I never used the word you. There you go. That's going to be your second letter. But see, you jumped the gun. First, I said send the first letter.
Okay.
Now we're already talking about the second letter because they're going to send back. They're going to send you back. They're going to send you back a letter saying you must appear, and you're going to say, wait a second. See Exhibit A, the previous attached communication between you and I, and it clearly stipulates that I'm an I, not a you. It's that ridiculous, and the judges love it. They fucking laugh their asses off.
Okay. Well, I'll do
they
that.
They know the trick, and you're just calling them on it. And it's one sentence, two sentence, done.
Yep. And
they're laughing their asses off. It's like, well, he's seen the rabbit coming out of the back of the hat. Oh, well, there's 10 million other guys to get. We got to let him go.
Okay.
And they let you go. Well, an affidavit is just paperwork that's filed. It's not recorded. It's filed. And it's what it's saying when you put an affidavit into a case file, not a record, you're putting it only into the case file. It's saying that someday some man or some woman may come into the open forum, into the open court, and they may utter it viva voce and press a record. But until then, it is just the word, a written word of man, but not the spoken word of man. So it's not true. So an affidavit just says, if I'm ordered to speak this into open court, I will. So, like I said, what's funny is I seen something on this house when I first moved in. The person who lived here before was in the Army, and they were getting an affidavit from, like, Visa. And I laughed at my sister. I said, oh, my God, look at this. This is an affidavit from Visa. I said to her, I said, do you know what this means? And she's like, no. I said, this means that someday Visa made a lawsuit against this guy in this county. They filed a claim against this guy, made a lawsuit against this man for compensation for his credit card debt. This man, all he has to do is bring the affidavit before the open court and say Visa must appear and Visa must utter this affidavit now as true in open court, or nothing in this piece of paper stands as true because the paper has no spine. It's not got no backbone. It has no standing. Only a man can stand in court. This paper has standing. Make the paper stand. Bring the man forward and make Visa utter this in open court and press the damn record, or it's not true. None of this stuff in this affidavit is true until it's pressed onto the record.
If I may ask, I've been trying to follow this stuff, but I've heard you say that you let your writing speak for you, because that's why I tell people make it 1 sentence, 2 sentences long, because anything other than what is on that affidavit is called a novation. You're creating a whole new document by your spoken word. Like, we thought this was written in English. We thought that was the letter L. We thought it said this word, said this. We thought we read this. Oh, but now that you're speaking it, we know what the true word is, because on your paperwork, it looked like it read this. But now that you uttered it, we thought it said can and will. Oh, you said shall and must. Oh, we got it. We misinterpreted what we read. Thank God the creator of this document, God, has come forward into court, and he's now interpreted to us in the spoken word. Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Pardon me. So
you thought that's happening. Right, because you're looking at somebody else's document, but now when it's spoken, now it's crystal clear. But the chicken scratch tap dance nonsense, we thought we saw the word can and will when you said in an open court, but wait a second, you said shall and must. So that destroys the can and will. Now it's shall and must, because that is what we thought it read, but now that we have the man interpreting his own creation for us, telling us that this painting is upside down. Thank God the creator came forth and now has spoken to open court for the whole world to witness that this is what is true. We thought it read this. It's just like the Bible. You thought Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There were 4 witnesses that hung out with Jesus Christ every freaking day. 4 guys. 4 different interpretations of what happened on the same damn day.
Exactly.
Thank God Jesus.
Someone was looking at the sky, someone was looking at the ground, someone was looking at the land.
Thank God Jesus came into court now and made it crystal clear exactly what happened that day.
Right.
That's all it is.
So,
that's all
so even by filing my affidavit, where the judge, of course, is supposed to look at it.
Yeah. They could try to guess what you're writing. They could try to interpret it, but it's not true. It's not true until you take the stand and you testify that it's true.
Right. So when you actually go into court, like in your own case, I thought you mentioned before that you let your writing do the work and you just stay silent. And you say, if you have any questions, you say, well, no, my affidavit has everything that I have to say.
Well, not my affidavit, my claim. I don't use the legalese term called an affidavit. I don't know what an affidavit is because it's their term of art. It's their term of art. You know, it's their belief. It's their mystical, magical Quran or golden tablets. It's their holy scrolls. You know, that's their crazy legalese terminology. I just call it a claim. And I guarantee I put a jury of my peers in there, and they'll know what a claim is. But I guarantee my peers who hang on a Taco Bell every day, I grab 12 of my buddies from Taco Bell and sit them in a jury stand and say, do you know what an affidavit is? They'll all look at me like I got 3 heads. It's like, I don't know. Does that mean like you broke wind or something? What's an affidavit? I don't know. I mean, you know. But if I say, okay, now do you understand? I said I'm making a claim. Oh, yeah, we know what that means.
Right.
So I never thought of their language. Because once you show that you're competent in legalese, they got you in their jurisdiction. They realize that you can understand, that you could see what they're doing, that you are part of them, that you are one of them.
Right. Now,
and when they say affidavit, I go, affidavit, apples, oranges, bananas. What the hell's an affidavit? Yeah. Oh, it's a piece of paper that we put a story on. It's like, oh, so you mean it's like your claim ticket? It's like a claim, like a statement that something's true. Yeah, well, we call it an affidavit. Well, where I come from, in the common law land of man, we call it a claim.
Now, where you legalese clowns come from, you might call it an affidavit or a Rumpelstiltskin, but we call it we call it claim. I could kind of highlight it, but it's still not as easy as I could do with a piece of paper and a pen. And I go, look at the word, look at this, look at this, look at this, ha, ha, ha.
Okay,
you know, and I trap them. You know, and it's like a game. It's like you're playing a game with a piece of paper. It's like doing a crossword puzzle. Yeah. You know, it's just fun. You know, you're just like, oh, look at this word he used. Oh, look at this word. Oh, he misused this word. Oh, he thinks he's going to trap me with this. Oh, this is like a game. You're just using the words as a game. It's a word game.
Yeah, and they trap you with it for
and
sure.
They try, and you just say, if you believe this and you believe that, and they're like, oh boy, here he goes saying believe instead of maintain a position, because as a state agent, they could only maintain a position. They can't believe any damn thing.
Yeah, or think, right?
Well, no, they could think, but see, there's certain words they can't use. You call them on words like believe. Is this your belief?
Yeah.
And are you challenged? Are you a state agent? Are you denying my belief? Oh. Use the word deny belief, because that's saying it's not true. Deny means not true. Deny does not mean I'm not giving Sally a cupcake or a lollipop. Like, Mommy denied me a lollipop. No, right. She didn't. Mommy didn't give you one. Mommy never denied you anything, because deny means it's not true. So to say, Mommy, not true, my lollipop, that sounds idiotic. You mean Mommy didn't give you one? No, Mommy never said it wasn't true. So when the judge says to you, denied, you say to the judge, you say to the guy in the black robe, did you just deny me? And you say, well, yes, denied. Oh, good. So you're saying what I'm saying is not true, so you're calling me a liar, right? Well, I just denied it. Deny means not true, right, Judge? You want me to whip out your book? Deny means not true. Are you telling me what I'm saying in open court is not true? Really? Then, Judge, you got firsthand knowledge of this? This belief of yours that what I'm saying is not true? Oh, good, Judge. You go and take the witness stand, and I want you to testify that what I'm saying is not true. Because I'm on the witness stand now, I'm pressing the record, and I say it's true. If you're saying denied, well, then you're going to have to take the witness stand, and you're going to have to bring your proof that what I'm saying is not true. You're not just going to say deny. You're going to come, and you're going to take the stand, you're going to raise your hand, and you're going to show the court what I'm saying is not true. Because the judge will just stamp, deny. Oh, really? You're going to try to deny me? This is my court. You try to tell me, this is the rules. If anybody tries to call me a liar, I'm going to call you out. And you're going to take the witness stand, and you're going to testify that I'm a liar. Well, when you dismiss something, it's just like somebody's in the Army. If you're a private or a corporal, and a sergeant tells you that it's dismissed, like you're dismissed, it means just go away for a little while. It doesn't mean that you're out of the Army, just like you're dismissed, and everybody breaks formation, and everybody goes and does their daily, whatever, the daily routine, whatever they're supposed to do, whatever their assignments are. And that's when you get dismissed. But discharged is like a credit card debt. Or like, say, you're discharged from the Army. Once you're discharged, whether you're honorably or dishonorably discharged, means you ain't coming back. Means it's done. Don't bother calling me up. I'm not going to answer the phone. It's been discharged. But dismissed means I got to answer the next damn time the phone rings. And you can't sue anybody. Well, let's put it this way. You can't sue nobody if the case has just been dismissed. It has to be discharged before you can sue somebody for filing a false charge. Because if it's just dismissed, that means it exists for all eternity. It's open still, but it's just gone away for a little while. It's not a closed case. It's just been dismissed.
Well, he did ask me to come back. So my advisor told me not to go back in. They told me because they're the grand sheik of my temple.
Okay.
They told me not to go back in, right?
Of course not.
And then I didn't. But the commissioner had sent the bailiff out to ask if I was going to go back in. And I really didn't get a chance to state on record that I required my property back, but I wrote it on the record. They have a record of that statement on file.
Like I said, ma'am, what it is like, say there's 10 steps to what I do, okay? You just pulled one step out, like step number 4,
and it works. And it's like, oh boy, now what do I do for step number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10? You see what I'm saying? You're just winging it. You're just doing it like you said, oh boy, this step works really good. I got this other person, that kid, that got this other lady back, that kid, oh boy. Okay, now, how do you follow through with it? See, at least the other people that I've talked to, they listened to my show for a long time. So they understood what was going on. Because when the bailiff asks you want to come back in, I know you thought that you mean to come back into the courthouse or come back into the courtroom. That's what you thought he meant. You want to come back in, right?
Yeah, he actually stated.
No, ma'am. One more time. Like you believe that the bailiff was asking you, do you want to bring your physical body back into the building or back into the courtroom, right?
Right.
No, that's not what he was asking you. Say, you have no freaking clue. He was asking you, do you want to come back into the case? Because when you're in the case, we can control you. If you're not in the case, we have no jurisdiction over you. You broke jurisdiction down. They had no control over you. You have no idea what you just did.
I didn't go back in. I did not go back in.
Ma'am, in is not physical. It's not physical. You're not physically going back into the building. You want to physically be held back liable for the paperwork in which you entered into a month or a year ago or 10 years ago. He's asking, do you want to come back into the case, not back into the building, not back into the courtroom. He's asking you, do you want to be the defendant again? Come on, you want to keep playing with us? We like playing with you.
So did a refusal for cause on the
what the hell is a refusal for cause? That's ridiculous. That's all legalese bullshit. Who's telling you this nonsense? You just make a demand for the return of your property. Since no claim came forward and since nobody rebutted your claim, you want the restoration of your property immediately. There you go. You're done. What's this thing for recusal for cause? What? That's some legalese jargon nonsense that you're learning from a freaking attorney. Go ahead and speak legalese and watch how fast you get right back under their jurisdiction, under their control. Go ahead and speak Chinese and legalese. Go ahead and see what happens to you.
No, I didn't go back, and I wrote on record.
You said recusal for cause. Now,
you know, that's what the father did. That's the father. He wrote refusal for cause on the minute orders that the bailiffs handed us because they proceeded without us and the continuance.
Refusal for cause.
Refusal for cause.
Ma'am, I don't care if they said a banana is yellow. Ma'am, I have no effing clue what they're talking about. I don't decipher their paperwork. I don't read their paperwork. I couldn't possibly care less what they put down on a piece of paper. It has absolutely nothing to do with me and my property. So you're saying, well, I put something down in writing, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Who's going to interpret that nonsense? Certainly not I. You're all caught up in this paper nonsense. You're all caught up in this fancy legalese words.
The man had a simple thing. Somebody says he owes a debt. He says this, I could pay the debt. The other people said we don't accept that payment. We don't accept payment for the debt.
Yeah. So
what does that mean? So what does that mean?
It means the debt is paid in full.
There you go. It's done. There ain't no more debt.
Yeah.
Got to go to the UC.
There you go. We're done. Right.
See and find it.
That's it. We're done. You offered to pay, and they refused to take the payment. What more do you want me to do?
Right, but they got a date.
I'm paying my debt. I'm done. If you don't want me to pay my debt, what the hell do you want from me? I'm done. It's that simple.
Go start looking in the UCC. You'll find it.
When you could say, not only do I believe that, and the Bible believes that, and the UCC believes that, and Grandma Moses believes that, and the Tooth Fairy believes that, Santa Claus believes it, but that's the law of this land. You don't rely on a UCC because you didn't write the UCC. You're not going to be able to bring the man who wrote the UCC in open court to testify that that's what it actually defines from people see from the gospel instruments. You're not going to get somebody to do that. Who are you going to produce who's going to say, I created Section 7, I created Section 9, I created Section 3 of the UCC. I am the creator. I will tell you exactly what this means. Nobody. You will never be able to bring that entity into the building. So why in God's name would you say UCC says this? Oh, really? Really? So UCC says that, huh? Okay, Mr. UCC. I always wondered about that. Does UCC wear pants or does UCC wear a skirt? I always wanted to meet this UCC. Bring UCC forward, because I want to hear UCC say it for the record.
All right. Now, how do you convince them that they received?
Don't convince them. What do you mean convince them?
Well, how do you stop the? In other words, you go to them in writing, okay, as verbal as well, if you wish.
Yeah, he wrote it. Here's the payment for the debt. They don't want to accept it. Say, there you go, case closed. Have a nice day. There is no controversy. There is no more case.
But you know these idiots are going to keep coming.
Right. Who's this? Okay, look, man, our guys are getting road pissed. Who's this mystical, magical, unicorn, lucky charm, leprechaun day?
Yeah, he said, hey, Carl, the judge told me that I got to come back on
December. You listen to leprechauns? You mean Bob? You mean Bob? You mean some man named Bob that happened to be wearing a black robe that day?
Right.
Ordered something from you. Bob ordered you to do something. So what are you going to do when Bob orders 10,000 pancakes?
Right.
Yeah, there you go. This is getting beyond silly. 83-something shows, man. I'm still doing the same bullshit. This is so simple. It's scary.
We just don't think as fast as you do, or as well as.
Oh, it's simple. It's a man. It's not a day. It's not a judge. It's a man. You're looking at a man. He's wearing a costume. It's a man. Other than that, it's a naked ape, just like you and me. It's a man in a costume. Believe me, the costume is not talking to you. It's the man. I don't get it. I don't get what you guys can't see. This is so simple it's scary. Is that what the 10,000 phone calls has been, JC?
Wait a minute, I just got on here, but what is the response to the man who says that, you've got to come up with the money, what have you, even though you've done the proper procedure?
So Bob, the lovely man, the lovely, sweet, lovely, God-blessing, God-fearing, Jesus Christ-loving man in a black robe, put it down in writing and order me, please. And I'll be more than glad to be burdened with your orders.
Well, now that he's given an order, we can turn around and bill it.
Put the fucking thing in writing. Go and place your order in writing. I don't know who you are. You order me to give you 10,000 pancakes. You better believe you're going to put it in when you get around to the Happy Meal window. All of a sudden, I made 10,000 pancakes or 10,000 Happy Meals for you, and you go, oh, maybe you misunderstood what I said. I just said, give me a McBurger. I didn't ask you for 10,000. Do you think that's what I said? How effing hard is it to tell a guy to put in writing and sign it? This ain't rocket science, guys.
Now that he's
the lady earlier today, she said the judge left the guy in a black robe, lady hearing officer, whatever she wanted to call it, left the room. That's right, because she was making a claim for a property. She was like, I don't want to hear any of this. Because I'm not getting involved. I don't want to be held liable. All she had to do is say, Susie, what are you going back to get my kid, Susie?
Well, Carl, I'm sorry, Carl, for cutting you off. Go ahead, finish. My only question is when Animal Control said that they wouldn't accept the payment.
Oh, Animal Control. Animal Control. Oh, like Pepsi Cola says, and Kentucky Fried Chicken says, and Florida Power and Electric says. Oh, does Animal Control wear a skirt or does Animal Control wear a dress? What does Animal Control look like?
They wear a skirt, man.
Oh, well, there you go.
Names. I got the officers' names. I got their cards, too.
No, you don't got the officers' names. You got the man or the woman's name.
Right, correct.
You don't got the officer because you can't go after Officer Bob. You can only go after Bob. And sometimes, who at all times is an effing man. Sometimes it's an officer. But at all times does realize and is cognizant of the fact that it is a man by nature. There you go. It's this freaking simple. Are you telling me that's what the 10,000 phone calls have been? Just for this silly thing? This is so silly it's scary.
But, Carl, so when she asked the man or the woman, can you take the payment, they said no. She adjudicated me guilty, man, and said that now I got a fine and penalties to pay.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Now make a claim against them. Make a claim against them. Tell them they're trying to get something that no longer exists. I mean, I no longer owe a debt. It's crystal clear. I tried to pay the debt. You refused to take the debt payment. What more do you want me to do? If they try to enforce it, that's when you go after them. You just say, you know what, they're intimidated, harassed, or whatever you believe, fine. Make a claim. Say I got the right to be let alone. This stuff ain't rocket science, people.
Isn't that the type of form of extortion, Carl, when you still try to make the payment and they tell you no?
You already made the payment. You're done.
Okay.
They refuse to accept the payment. What more do you want me to do?
Okay.
That's the best I can do. That's the best I can do. That's how this country rolls. This is a Judeo-Christian-based nation. You have to forgive those of their debt. If they fucking just say, hey, you have to allow me to do this. You can't hold me to it. And they got to let you go. There's no such thing as debt as prison. This isn't merry old England.
Well, you know how corrupt these courts are, Carl.
What courts? They're lovely. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. You just don't know what the hell you're doing when you walk into and engage in intercoursing with them. You have no clue. You're intercoursing with them. Yeah, literally. You're intercoursing with these clowns, and you're not wearing a rubber. And then you pick up some crazy disease and you call them bad? You got to go in there and protect yourself. If you don't have to protect yourself, you're just going to go intercourse with any entity that says, hey, come here and court me? So, well, what I got to do to protect myself? That's all you're doing. And that's all I try to do. That's all my call is all about, is how to protect people from when people try to intercourse with you in a courtroom setting. Back in the 80s and 1990s, there was this huge mega billion-dollar corporation called WWF, okay? They were the Worldwide Federation of Wrestling, whatever nonsense it was. They were making billions and billions of dollars selling kids' toys and nonsense like that, and kids were jumping off their beds, breaking their spines. Some attorney said, hey, let's say because they didn't put a disclaimer on the packaging that the kids shouldn't do this, copy these guys, from TV into real life, they won like $1 gazillion-dollar judgment against Vince McMahon and WWF. So all Vince McMahon did when the ruling came is he made it WWE. He just added a line at the bottom of the letter F. And he didn't have to pay one damn dime out to anybody because he just folded the WWF. Nobody ever got compensated a freaking dime. Okay, because the WWF does not exist, or it exists for about 10 seconds until Vince says it no longer exists. So you guys keep going after something called IRS. It only exists until somebody says, you know what, it no longer exists, and it's gone. It's on paper. That's all it is. It's not flesh and blood. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have a capacity to think, dream. It has no hopes. It has no rights. It exists only on paper. And if you believe that piece of paper that's written in Chinese or legalese says IRS to you, God bless you. If you believe that thing has power over you, well, hey, you know what? I'm sure the Chinese people, when they're reading their Chinese shit, believe it has power over them too. If you believe the second dimension has control over your third dimensional body, God bless you. If you want to let it affect your world, God bless you. If that's what you believe, hey, you know what? I can't help you. I can only tell you, man, what I see. And it's like if you don't want to pull yourself away from it, if this is what makes you happy, if this is what keeps you behaved, if this is what keeps you acting under control, is a piece of paper keeps you doing the right thing, well, that's what it takes for you. I'm not a person going with a complaint. I'm a man going in with a claim.
Right. And so if I go with my claim,
the court that I'm going into is my court, but I'm going to meet them at the federal courthouse or at the district court. I'm not going into the district court. I'm going to meet in my court at the district court.
The place, not in the fiction.
It has nothing to do with fiction. I'm not entering into their control under their rules. If I go into the district court, I got to abide by the court clerk's rules, the attorney's rules, pro se rules, magistrate. I got to abide by all the rules that they set for the district court. I'm going to go at the court. I'm going to go meet everybody at the big courthouse. I'm going to meet at the federal courthouse. I'm going to meet at Bob Johnson Courthouse. I'm going to meet at the courthouse. I'm not going to go in the courthouse.
Okay, but here's the question, though. I mean, I knew that. I just used the wrong term because I'm not used to using the right term.
I don't let anybody be sloppy on my show. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I'm glad because it reminded me about that, and that's really good. But one of the things that you had said, though, when you go in, you go at the court with your claim, and the other people don't show up, but they may be represented by attorneys. I can't recall, how do you handle that issue to get the attorneys out of there or whatever?
Okay, like I said, be careful about that because you're trying to you are going in court with your claim because you're going in court. It's your court. You're going in your court. Your court with your exhibits, your court gestures, your facts, your evidence, your beliefs, your rules. It's your court. So you're going in court. Yeah, you're in court. But you're going to meet at the big courthouse downtown where you hold your court.
And what do you do with those attorneys?
Now, an attorney can't, if the rules are that you're making a claim against another man has got to come forward and deny that he's done you wrong.
Okay, that's what I thought. Good, okay.
That's all. The attorney can't say he's done wrong. They say let that man speak for himself. Good. And if the man doesn't want to speak for himself, you just say, look, you speak now, forever hold the peace. This is your last chance. Are you going to defend yourself? Are you going to tell the world? You got the open forum. The world is your witness. There's no canopy. There's no roof over us. The whole world is watching. Speak your piece. Make amends. Make your word known. Say what you got to say, because this is your last chance. There's no appeals. There's no nothing. When it's done here, it's final. Do you have anything to say on your behalf? Do you want to defend yourself, or do you just want to let it be up to the jury? You're just going to let the fact finder, the guy in the black robe, make the ruling. Is there anything you want to say on your behalf? Yes or no? And if he just wants to sit there silent, he has that right to sit there and not say a effing thing. The records only occur through the spoken word, under oath or affirmation in open court. That's the only time a record is created, is by viva voce. You can't create, Elvis Presley can't make a record by writing it. He has to sing it.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
so you've got to be careful when you use these words. Record. Record means verbal,
right, exactly.
not paper. Okay,
right.
In the legalese dictionary, the record can mean paper. They can interpret the word record any way they want. They could write in their legalese dictionary record, and they could have a picture next to the record that looks like a freaking unicorn.
Right.
They can make their words for their society, their verbiage, their beliefs, any way they wish to define them. It's their society, it's their rules, it's their verbiage, it's their words. It's their terms of art.
Okay.
And they could define it they could say, when you hear the word record, put the picture of a unicorn in your mind, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about unicorns.
Right.
So when you go there and you try to argue with them with their terms of art, you look like a moron, because you have no effing clue. Because what you're speaking, you're trying to speak common law, common man terms. You're speaking gibberish to them. They're like, wait a second, a record? Here, this is our definition of record, and they'll open up the book and say, dude, that looks like a unicorn. Well, that's what we call a record. What do you call it? Oh, record, that's ridiculous. Something round and words come off of it? Oh, that's ridiculous. No, records look like unicorns. It's their society, it's their words. Right. So unless you have a license to practice in their society and their words, you're wasting your time. You're not even close to being able to interpret their stuff. And they're going to cream you.
Right. But that's why you told me to just say that I'm incompetent.
because I don't.
That's right. You are not competent. To you, it's pure gibberish. Legalese is pure gibberish.
Right.
To you. Just like when they looked at your stuff, they said, this is pure gibberish. That's right. This is common law gibberish. To a legalese man. That's right. And your legalese shit might be beautiful to an attorney and beautiful to the Supreme Court and beautiful to prosecutors and who work for the state, but it's pure gibberish to man. I don't have to answer to any of this crap. This is pure gibberish. I don't see any man or woman I've done wrong. I don't see a signature from a man or a woman.
Right.
This is gibberish.
Now, can you explain a little bit, just elaborate a little bit, Karl, on what, I mean, I know they can do different things, but what could be the different outcomes of them actually just not dealing with the claim, like just moving past it?
They'll deal with it. You got to stop. You got to stop saying they're not going to deal with it. They're competent. They know what to do. If you wrote it, look at all the people on my show now who's called up and said, "Call, it worked."
Right. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
You don't hear anybody call up the show and say, "Call, it didn't work."
Right. I know. I mean, I totally look.
So the outcome is it's going to work.
Okay. So all I'm saying, but Karl, is how right now the way I did it, because I haven't pressed it upon the record. See, that's the thing.
You don't press anything upon the record because nobody fought you into court yet. You have to have your day in court. And when you have your day in court, you make a record. You put yourself a hand on a Bible or you affirm something is true. You don't have to do the oath. You could just do the affirmation if you want. And then you open up your mouth and you utter it. You create the record. Now you tell the other side to create their record. And the other side says, we can't create it.
Right. I understand that. Right. Well, now I'm going back in to see if I can say I already did it, but I haven't done it. But what I'm saying is when I brought the notice into the courthouse and the magistrate looked at it and said it was gibberish, I'm asking you right now, now it's like 5 months later. This is the one that they've been trying to get me to take the cycle back.
Well, look, the big thing is all the time, when anybody does anything, you got to move like lightning. If they're filing a complaint against you, to me, I answer it within 3 days. And the only answer I give them is like, I think I see a piece of paper before me. I think I see some writing. I think I see some words. I think I see something that looks like something that I might understand. But the only thing I can truly not understand is I don't see a man or a woman on this paper. I don't see the hand or the proof of a man or a woman exists.
Right.
I don't see it. That's all you have to do. And if you dick around for 3, 4, 5 months and say to them, look, you answered in 3 days, and you tell them in that thing and say, look, you better move your complaint against me, and I mean effing now, or you better drop it, and I mean effing now. And they'll drop it. If you just wait around and wait for them to say, well, let's see if we can come out a new way to come after this guy. Let's wait 4 or 5 months because this guy's lazy and he doesn't decide to move on it. When somebody's telling you you've done wrong, you don't wait 6 months for them to come back and say you did wrong. You attack them immediately. You say, I've done wrong? Really? Where's the claim? Where's the man or woman I've done wrong? Let me talk to them. Let me compensate them. You get on it like lightning.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying, but they would not. All right. Now, in my instance.
Right. You don't wait for them. You don't wait for them to decide when they're damn good and ready to move their complaint against you. You tell them, look, if you don't clear up my good name, my good word, and I mean like effing now, I'm going to take your ass to court, and you will clear my good name. You don't let that shit dangle over your head for months or years at a time. And I don't care what any of these other people say and say, oh, well, look, they just do that to create warrants. They just do that to use your name. They just do that to create paperwork in the court so they could make money. I don't care about any of that crap. The only thing I care about is clearing my good name. And I'm going to move like lightning.
All right, so
and that's
now,
what you do.
Right,
you don't wait for them to move. You have to move.
The notice, cease, and desist, meaning stop doing what you're doing, stop moving your case against me, stop doing that, and then the rules of the court, because now once you bring your claim and all that, then they have to you have see that's the whole point. See, that's another step that's really kind of intricate too, because when you go in and take their court and it becomes your court, then you have to give them the rules of your court. See, Karl might explain a little bit simpler than I can. Of course he can. So That's what that means. The rules of court. We don't like, when you talk about the rules of court, like, because once you move your claim, you know.
Well, they have their rules posted. It's on website, but.
Yeah, of course, but see, a lot of us don't study that. You know what I'm saying? We don't study the rules and make sure they're doing everything to procedure. Okay, so now the next one would be the claim. So you have the notice, you have the cease and desist, then you have the rules of the court, and then you have the claim, and then you have the order. Now what's my next question?
Hang on, man. Sometimes I gotta breathe, man. Sometimes I gotta burp.
I know you do, man. I know you gotta eat. I know you're doing 100,000 things at one time. I know.
Yeah. Well, like you said, fine, man. You said, oh man, I filed a claim before the court, and I don't think the judge put it in, created a case file for me yet.
Right.
You know, you need a case file.
Okay.
Because it's but like what's said though too, when he creates it, you have to give it to him that you served the other side properly. You know, you also have to. The next piece of paper is you got to show where you served the other side, that they got to appear to answer your claim. Okay. Just because you give it to him, it's like, did you make sure you gave a copy to the other side? Do they know what you're claiming?
Right.
Exactly. Did you do that? Did you let the other side?
No, I didn't.
You can't do that, man. It's ambush.
Right.
You got to let the other side know.
Yeah, that's what we said earlier. That was the whole point. I ambushed the court, and that's what happened. So now,
well, you tried to bring your court in and ambush their court.
Right. Okay. So now, what do I do next, Carl?
Well, you got to show the judge. You got to show the judge. You got to show the court clerk that you properly served the other side, and they'll say, fine. You know, when you're giving the other side 21 days to answer this claim. Yes, good, because your court case comes up in 21 days too. Good. Everybody can have everything heard on the 21st day. That's lovely. Let's do this.
Okay, but Dave, so when I go to the court to file a claim, they're going to charge me, and then I'm going to have to go through the whole thing again. Who's going
to charge you?
You said they're going to charge me for moving a claim.
They're going to say, yes, I'd like to file a claim. Well, like I said, what's funny is you'd like to file a claim against their complaint. It's not a counterclaim. It's not a counter-complaint. You're filing a claim against somebody's complaint. If somebody's complaining that I've done something wrong, I'm making a claim that not only did I not do anything wrong to anybody or any man or any woman, but that these people are filing a false complaint against me and wasting my valuable resources, this court's resources, and everybody's time. They're never going to be able to prove their complaint is true. That's basically the way you have to look at it when you're writing your stuff. You're not going to just write exactly that. That's ridiculous. You're going to have to put your situation in. You're going to say Bob, who works for the state, is making a complaint that I did some man or some woman wrong. You say, who did I do wrong? I talk about this a billion times. It's very simple. What you're going to do? You're going to say, hey, Bob's saying I did something wrong. Just like if I was suing you, I'm making my answer to you is like, hey, there's a man named Dan in North Carolina, and he's saying that I did him wrong. You know what, court clerk? Honestly, here's the answer. File it in Dan's case because I don't know who Dan is. That's all you're doing. You're saying there's a man named Bob who's filed a complaint on behalf of the state of North Carolina. I don't know who the state of North Carolina is. Maybe Bob would like to come to court and explain to me. But if you want to summons me to appear, I'm going to require that I be compensated for my lost time because this complaint is ridiculous. It has no merit. Stuff like that. It isn't just one answer. This isn't just some silly cookie cutter thing. And like the thing that you and I were talking about is failure to show cause or probable cause. None of that silly nonsense. The cause just means case. You're saying they have no case. You don't have to say failure to, dismiss for failure to show cause. That's ridiculous. Just say they have no case. This guy will never be able to prove his complaint. Honestly, I don't answer the complaints. I just answer the claims. It's just simple. You just got to get this in your head, man. This stuff ain't rocket science what I do, man. Look at the silly stuff I wrote. Yeah, look at the silly stuff I did. Listen to the silly people who call me up. The lady was like what, 28-year-old Spanish lady, and she got a kid back in 2 seconds. The judge said, "You don't want to work with me? No. You don't want to work with the prosecutor? No. You don't want to work with the HR? No. Don't want to do with CPS? No. Don't want to work with the guardian lineup? No. Don't want to do what's in the best interest of your child? No. You don't want to do anger management? No. Don't want to do crisis? No. Don't want to do parenting? No. I want my property restored, and I want it now, immediately. I want it now." And he gave it back to her. Sounds ridiculous what she said. It's like, that's all she said? She didn't use any fancy words by saying they failed to state a claim which relief could be granted, and the case should be dismissed for failure to show cause. No. She's saying that nonsense. And boy, her shit worked like magic in 2 seconds. It's simple. It's so simple, it's scary.
Yeah, I'm back, Carl.
You're overthinking it. You're just overthinking it. I guarantee this lady spent about 15 minutes learning what I had to say. I said, "Look, ma'am, all you got to do is this. Put this piece of paperwork in. Can you understand this piece of paper? I want the property returned, restored immediately. Yeah. I want a penny for every second of the day. Yeah. Can you understand that, ma'am? Yeah. That's all you need to know."
All right,
and she did it.
Right. So we have to pay for the case number, Carl?
Do you have to? I explained to you how you might go around if the lady asks you. The court clerk says, "Look, nobody gets anything in life for free. I don't care who you are. It's going to come at a price. It's going to come at a cost. At this time, we charge $80. How would you wish to pay it, sir?" "Well, I wish to pay it off $1 a day for the next 80 days. And that's it.
That's it.
And if she says no, you want to go out and...
I'd say $1 a year for the next 80 years.
Yeah, well, you try to be reasonable.
Right.
You try to act like you're moving in good faith.
Yeah.
You're trying to be honorable and honest.
Right.
You want to try to sound like you're pulling a con job? Yeah, you can do that. But then the court's going to reflect it as such. The court's going to
charge us at all.
Doesn't matter. The court is going to look at you like you're trying to like this is a joke. And to me, this isn't a joke. Right. This is deadly.
It's not a joke to me either. It just annoys me. I'm sorry, Carl.
Oh no, it's all right. That's fine. That's good that somebody puts up a comment like that. That's fine. I got no problem. You did great. And now it brought to somebody's attention. Look, Carl doesn't take this as a joke. Carl doesn't say this is a game. Carl says he might say pay $1 a year for the next million years for the debt due. That's fine. If that's what you could honestly come up with, if that's what you are going to be able to do without causing any harm to you or your children, if that's the best you could do, you got to be able to swear in a stack of Bibles and say that's true. Everything that's coming out of my mouth is true. The best I could do is $1 a year for the next million years. I'm serious. That's the best. When the situation turns around and I can do better, believe me, I'll let you know. Believe me, I want this debt off my back so fast it's not even funny. But until that time, you got to take me at my word. This is the best I could do, and don't push it.
Right.
And that's the rules of this land. The rules of this land are incredibly beautiful, incredibly simple, and people just don't understand what a lovely land we live upon. It's unbelievable. Like I said, thank God Barack Obama's speechwriter. Not so much him, because yes, he did utter what a speechwriter said when he said, our forefathers' greatest gift was the right to self-govern. It's what you feel is the right thing to do. If you feel it's a good thing to go into court and make it a joke and say, I'm going to pay you $1 a year for the next million years for the $1 million of you, do it. But if you feel that's true in your heart, that that's the best you can do, that's what they want to see. They want to see somebody who's true and who's real.
How do you feel about getting a bond? I mean, I've got like some silver eagles that I've been saving for about 3 years.
A bond?
Yeah, getting it like a surety bond.
Yeah, you could put up a bond because you don't have. If you say, look, if you, like I said, what I say, who did I explain it the other day? Somebody said that.
I mean, I can't put up the house.
Yeah, somebody. I was just saying, somebody was asking me something about somebody not paying them back or something. Oh, I think somebody said they sold a car to somebody. I said, when you people sell cars to people that you really don't know, why don't you just ask the guy, hey, can you go down to your local bondsman and go get a bond? What? Just in case you don't pay me back this $5,000? Can you? I'm going to let the bondsman chase you around. I don't want to chase you. So can you just go to the bondsman and it's $5,000? I said, I don't know how much the bondsman's going to ask for you. If he knows you, if he sees you're stable, if he sees you're reliable, if he sees that you're a good egg, he'll investigate you better than I can. Let him investigate you. Let him background check you. And if he says, look, you know what? Fine, I'll give you a $5,000 bond. Give me $50.
and pay and pay me, if the bonders get called in, obviously I'm going to chase you down for the rest of the money. Or if he says, you know what, to what I'm looking at, your credit rating and everything about you so bad, no, you want a $5,000 bond, I'm going to need a $4,000 deposit.
Well, no, I was thinking about getting the actual substance value of the silver.
I'm just saying the bondsman is free to set whatever price. He's like a pawn.
It's possible, then.
He could set whatever he believes, whether or not you're going to come back and pay the debt, or that you're going to stand up for your word. Yeah, but if somebody's buying something from me and you don't know who he is, say, sure, I'll sell it to you. Just go give me a bond. Go give me a $5,000 bond. I don't care how you get it. I don't care if you put up $5 for the bond. I don't care if you put up $4,999 for the bond. Go give me a bond, and you could have my car. Just go give me a $5,000 bond. I don't care how you got it. I don't care what deal you had to make with the bondsman. Go get one. Pay me. And then I'll hold the bond, or we'll put it in a bank. If you don't trust me, we'll put it in escrow. We'll let some third party and an uninterested party keep hold of the bond, and you pay me $100 a week, like you said, or $100 a month, until the debt is paid off.
Don't the like little mom and pop car dealers just put liens on the cars?
That's basically all they do too. Right? That's all they do. But they'll come and collect the bill though. They'll come and they'll get a. I
bought a car that way.
They'll go get a repo man. I don't want to be bothered with the repo man. Just give me the bond. Just let a third-party escrow service hold it for me. Just let a bank hold it for me. Let the priest hold it for me. I don't give a damn. But I'm not going to chase you around. You don't pay me, I'm keeping a bond. You can have my car. Just go get a bond. What? Go talk to a bondsman. He'll tell you how to go get one. If you want my car that bad, go get one. You show him that you're a good egg. You show him that you're a good man or a good woman. You prove it to him. You don't prove shit to me. Just give me the bond. And like I said, somebody got burnt. He said, I think it was Lynn who just left. I think he was saying something about somebody got his Mustang for $500 or $5,000 something. I don't remember. He said the guy only made one payment and then he destroyed the car. And
when we file a claim, is it private or public?
Depends, man. First you try to settle it. Obviously, you're making a claim with the other side. You give them notice that there's going to be a suit pending. There's going to be a suit coming in. Once it's put it into the court clerk's office, she gives you a case number. It's public.
We got to pay. Yeah, we got to pay for that case number.
Well, yeah, you work out some sort of payment plan with her. Just work out a payment plan with her.
Right. So we got to file that in the civil department, correct?
Oh, well, you just go into the courthouse. You just look for the court clerk. You don't worry about what department they file it in. You just say, hey, I've got a case I want to file, and I'm going to require a courtroom, and and here's proof that the other side has been served, and and I guess in 22, 23 days we're going to require a courtroom, and just leave it at that, and ask her what, just leave it at that. See what she says, and if she says, well, we're going to require a certain amount of money, say, well, the best I could do is $5 right now, but as soon as I could pay up the rest, believe me, I'll pay up. How do you want to work a payment schedule? Well, like I said, you could use the old king in the court. The courts are free to the king and the subjects, but you know what? I really don't want to use that. I'd rather just pay for the use of the courtroom and work out some payment plan with them. I don't want anybody to give me anything free because it's never free. There's always something attached to it.
Right. Yeah, but the court clerk, they're not going to give you a case number because in order to do that, you're going to have to pay. So you got to go on the civil side the way they do it here.
No, well, like I said, all you do is say you make an arrangement without a pay, and it's like, ma'am, you're not interfering in my right to access a public courthouse, are you?
Right.
There you go.
We need the case number, though, right? We've got to have that case number.
Well, okay. All I said was, all you do is go ask the lady that you'd like to file a case in this public courthouse.
Right.
She says civil or criminal. Say, I don't know about civil or criminal. All I know is this man has done me wrong. And under the common law, I have the right to use this public courthouse to have this hearing, to have this matter heard and tried before a jury. You don't try to talk like them. Say civil. Say civil. I'm not sure what civil means, but I do know I've been done wrong. I know this is a public courthouse, and I know a jury could hear this matter. I'm going to require a jury be seated within like next month, after this man has got an adequate time to answer. I think it's 21 days. He's got to answer. So anytime after that, ma'am, if you got an empty room, I'd appreciate it. You're getting letters from the IRS, correct?
Yeah, they sent me 16 of them the other day demanding my file.
They didn't send you anything. It sent you something, and it can't send you something. Only a man or woman can send you something. So if you go back to my old shows, you'll hear me.
And then I'm signed.
You'll see everything.
Right now, what I've done is I sent back a 45-day letter to them and used the same letters that they send to me when they can't answer one of my inquiries. I've had about a 12-year ongoing relationship. Pardon?
All I try to say to you folks is when they send you a letter like that, did anybody sign it?
No.
Okay, well then you're going to have to say, obviously the IRS doesn't have like arms and legs and hands. Somebody had to write this letter for them. Who is liable for this letter? Who wrote this letter? Who can I talk to? Who's going to be responsible for this communication between me and IRS? Somebody's got to make themselves known to you. I'm not going to write to IRS. The IRS obviously doesn't have arms and legs. If it does, is it Mr. or Mrs. IRS? Is it a lady? Is it a woman? Is it a man? What the hell is this IRS? I don't know what you're talking about. I've never met IRS. I'm a man.
So that's how I respond to them? Is just demanding that a person...
You send it back and just say, is this Mr. or Mrs. IRS? Because I don't remember ever meeting a Mr. or Mrs. IRS. How could I help you?
Oh, okay.
You're just basically being a wise guy.
Okay.
But it's technically correct. It's like you just don't know why are you talking to me, Mr. or Mrs. IRS. Is there something I could do for you? I don't believe I've ever had any business dealings with you. I don't believe there's a contract between you and me. How can I help you?
That sounds reasonable. The last time I wrote to them, they wanted me to file, and I basically said that it's impossible for me to file because their tax code is so convoluted it'd take.
No,
I'd have to be.
You answered a coherent back. You actually answered it, so you actually believe they actually exist. You brought them to life because you actually gave a competent, coherent answer. Like me, it's like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. IRS, lovely day, but thank you for this wonderful letter, but how do we have dealings? Did I write to you, Mr. or Mrs. IRS? Can you please call me on who you are?
Even though I've already written to them 1,000 times.
No, you didn't write to anybody. You said you wrote to IRS. Does IRS have ears, hands, and a pen to write back to you? No.
No, they don't.
No. So like I said, you've got to stop that silly stuff and just talk to a man or a woman. Say, I'll be more than glad to communicate to any man or woman. I just never met anybody in my life named Mr. IRS or Mrs. IRS. How do you believe that you know me?
Should I ask whether they have a claim, whether a person has, or a
no? Just ask them a simple question. I mean, how hard is it to ask a simple damn question? Say somebody named Bobby Sue sent you a letter and said you owe me money. You need to file with me. You'd say, Bobby Sue, is this a man or a woman? And gee, how can you refresh my memory how we have any business dealings together? For the life of me, your name escapes me. Please let me know.
All right.
As soon as possible. Thank you. That's all.
With the psycho vow, do you feel that if I was to take it, and just say if they was to find me incompetent, just say that. If they was to find me incompetent because they're saying that I might have a mental illness and all this other stuff.
Did you ask him if competency is whether you can stand and understand legalese, or is competency because you think I just don't have a brain? I'm mentally retarded. Did you ask him what the competency test was? You just got to ask him. Just send him a letter. Say, hey, I hear you want me to take a psych eval. Is this psych eval because you believe I'm incompetent to answer questions in court? Or you believe I'm in the psych eval is because I'm delusional or psychotic or schizophrenic? What do you people what seems to be your concerns about my mental state? What concerns of it is yours of how my competency? Just ask them. What is this? What's the psych eval? Why are you trying? What are you trying to derive? What kind of information are you trying to get out of me taking a psych eval? Just ask them the question.
I'm back.
That's all you
I'm
got to
back.
do.
Yeah, what I was going to say was, so would that stop me from moving a claim?
No, you just asked. You sent him a letter. Say what would be the benefit for me to take a psych eval? How would it benefit me? How would it benefit the court? What are you people trying to gather? What kind of information are you trying to gather by ordering me to do a psych eval? You know, I'd love to take one, but tell me what's the benefit for either me or for you?
Okay.
All right. All right, let me
All
see
right,
if.
Right. What I'm saying, though, if it came down to it, should I take it or not?
And it's totally up to you if you believe it's a benefit. And you ask them, say, is this an order? And if this is an order, am I going to be compensated for carrying out this order of the court? Just like, say, if the court ordered you to pick up 73 fried chickens on the way to the court. Say, lovely, I'll pick up 73 fried chickens, but how is that a benefit to me? And is anybody going to pay for this order?
Right.
It's that simple, Dan.
Right. So if they're going to pay for it already,
Yeah.
but I know they're not, though.
Well, then it's like you say, well, if you order me to do something, isn't any man, if a man orders another man to do something, am I not worthy of compensation for work performed or service provided?
All right, so I'll just write a letter, hand letter, like you said, just write it to the DA, correct? All right.
Just as simple. Like I said, everybody here, somebody says to me, these people are crazy. This one guy who has me, who's helped me come over here like that, not financially, but just by motivating people to get into what I'm doing. He's actually taking money for people to do work for this. I said, wait a second, you want me to provide a service and a product? You realize you just took money from this lady. You realize you just took money from this man. You realize you just took money from this man. You realize you just took money from this woman. Now you have to provide a service. Now you have to perform a service and provide a product. I said, you realize this could blow up in your face because I don't know UK civil law yet well enough to actually make the documents look parallel to theirs. I said, so you realize if it blows up, do you realize you just accepted money to provide a product or perform a service, in which I don't know if I could deliver? I said, buddy, you got, brass, cojones, man, to do something like this. I said, that's why you have people donate to you. I said, because you donate to the church and you pray to God for, whatever, and the donation, what's going to happen? You pray to God and it doesn't come true. What are you going to do? Go back to the church and say, hey, I gave you $50, $100, give me back my money. God didn't answer my prayer. So I said to him, you got to be very careful. He's not very business oriented, this guy. I said, you got to be very careful. That you're promising people to something that I might not be able to deliver. I said, in the States, I'm damn good at what I do. But here in the UK, I don't know how they're going to receive this. He says, oh, don't worry. He says, I already had 8 orders, done, and they never answered back, and that part is done, and everything's working out. I said, dude, just, you got to be careful.
Mike's issue is one of just wanting time with his kid, and he's in the statutory court. He's in her case, and there was an order made by the court basically giving him roughly 50% time with his property, his child, and she keeps making motions to change this, motion to change that. And it seems rather willy-nilly and rather frivolous. And he's been pleased with how the court has been handling things. He feels like he's being treated fairly and that the magistrate is basically a good guy. However, her continual motions to change are not only in violation of prior orders, and time would fail for me to get into all those details. However, she is in violation of several court orders, and
remove the sanctions.
Not only that, but her continual motions to change are causing him harm.
Did any of you 4 or 5 guys just say, you know what, then you're going to have to make a motion for sanctions?
No, never heard of such a thing.
Okay, well,
I've never
Google motion for sanctions. They got them under. You could read like motions for sanctions under like Rule 11. They have that.
Okay.
You know, so all it is that when somebody's doing something frivolous and ridiculous, you could just say, if one more ridiculous thing, the court wants to maintain status quo from a previous order. They want to maintain order. So obviously status quo is order. We want to maintain the last order. So we don't want to change anything. That's the court's objective, is not to interfere with what's going on from the last order. So we want to maintain status quo and say, look, this is frivolous. This is taking up court resources, and unless she really has, real evidence that status quo should be, the order should be modified because there's some sort of radical new discovery that's just been brought to the court's attention, sanction her. Don't allow her to put any more motions in. And if she does want to put a motion in, they can pay $10,000 for something like that. Just study, motion to sanction.
Okay.
Yep.
He's got another hearing coming up, and it seems like he's just going to, let it ride. I'm not in contact with him personally, but hopefully he's listening, or someone will alert him to the archives here. But yeah, I had the idea that if the next hearing or motion hearing or trial, whatever it is, doesn't turn out favorably, he might make a claim basically stating how much he loves the original order. And then his exhibits showing where she has violated other orders.
Well, that's basically what I just said. It's almost exactly what I just said. You want to maintain status quo, and you want to file a motion to sanction her that she can't. She's wasting everybody's time, and everything's lovely and beautiful. I already said the answer. You got 21 days. So you can find out there's a lien on you. You move like lightning into the court. Say, I require a hearing or I require a trial, and I order that this lien be lifted. Let the person who placed the lien, let the man or woman place the lien on me appear in court and testify why the lien should not be lifted. So if the man or woman doesn't show up to court, say why the lien should not be lifted, the lien gets lifted. That's simple.
I lift the lien?
You order the lien be lifted, and you say, I order the lien to be lifted. Okay? You got that, right?
Yeah.
If there is a man or woman who wants to make a counter order and say the lien should not be lifted, let them come before the court now and forever hold their peace. Why the lien should not be lifted. That's how liens work. You get a lien, right? What do? You say, wait a second. I don't know you from a can of paint without a label on it. I don't know what. I know from a can of paint. Dan's expression. I know. Why are you leaning me? I'm going to require you to come before the court where the lien has been recorded in whatever county the lien was recorded, and you're going to have to come into the court, and you're going to have to testify in court why you put the lien on me. It's simple. It's simple. Simple. Ain't rocket science, dude. That's all you require is the man or the woman who put the lien on you to come before the court and explain why this lien should stay. Because I'm ordering it lifted. That's all. Same thing with garnishment, same thing with liens. All these have the right to have a hearing or a trial. And the person or the man or the woman who put the lien on you, or the man or woman who's garnishing your salary, has to appear and say why the lien or the garnishment should stay. If they fail to appear, obviously the lien or the garnishment gets lifted.
American Jurisprudence, 2nd edition. In a broader sense, the common law is the system of rules and declarations of principles from which our judicial ideas and legal definitions are derived, and which are continually expanding. It is not a codification of exact or inflexible rules for human conduct, for the redress of injuries, or for the protection against wrongs, but is rather the embodiment of a broad and comprehensive unwritten principles, inspired by natural reason and an innate sense of justice, and adopted by common consent for the regulation of government of the affairs of men. It has been termed the legal embodiment of practical sense, whose guiding star has always been the rule of right and wrong, and whose principles demonstrate that there is in fact, as well as in theory, a remedy for all wrongs. So, that is how the law defines common law. And I think it's a pretty damn decent definition. But that's just my opinion. While in one sense the term common law has no fixed meaning, since it varies with time and place, when viewed as a system for deducing from litigated instances just, reasonable, and consistent rules, it can be said that the common law never changes.
We had 35 people into the courtroom. 3 flights of stairs had people on them coming up, still coming into the courtroom, and the judge run out of the courtroom. The judge said something about plaintiffs not appearing, and Doug was just standing there, and I said, wishing order, wishing order. And Doug said, is that your wishing order? And he screamed, yes. And I said, checkbook. And Doug says, where's the check? And he jumped up off the bench and out of the courtroom. It didn't make it a minute and a half. My dad's mouth hit his knees. He couldn't believe what he had just seen. The U.S. Marshal said, in all of my years, I've never seen a judge run from the bench until today. That's what the U.S. Marshal told me.
Yeah, because it's some powerful stuff, man.
Well, I think Wednesday, then I just need to hand him a piece of paper asking him for his wish and order, signed in writing, I guess, then. So once it's on paper, then...
Like I always say to people, the big thing is if they have jurisdiction, you can't present them an order. The big thing is if they have no jurisdiction, they have no right to order you to do anything, that's when you can hand them a bill. You have to establish the fact that at no time did they ever have jurisdiction or control over you because you're a man. You know, you never appeared in person. You always appeared as a man. You know, you never appear as a person. When you appear, you always appear only as a man. Never appear as a person. Because like I said, all a person is a man. But a man who relinquishes his rights because he holds an office or a duty to the society. Now, you're not relinquishing your rights. You're maintaining your position at all times that you're a man. And nobody has control over me. The only thing I want to answer to is another man who's claiming I've done wrong, I've injured his property, or I've breached a contract. I lied to him.